Hello and welcome to Blackpool. The world-famous Blackpool Tower dominates the skyline in this part of the Lancashire coast, and its colourful Blackpool and its unique atmosphere that plays host to the 87th Greenall's Waterloo Handicap. Yes, welcome to the Waterloo, the most prestigious event in the Crown Green Bowls calendar, and of course also the Blue Ribbon event. Total prize money around £25,000, with £3,000 to the eventual winner. But you know, really, it's not just the money, it's the prestige of winning this particular event. Now, 64 players started off on Monday. We're now down to the last 8, and by the end of the day, we'll know who our new champion is to be. We're talking of champions. With me is John Bancroft, who won this particular event back in 1990. John, you're part of our team here today. What does it take to win this particular prestigious event?
Well, the winner today is going to have to perform to the highest level, and he's going to have to hold his nerve. That's the main thing. I mean, the Waterloo is the competition that all the bowlers want to win. They'll all be down there now, ready to start, and they'll all be really nervous. So it's getting off to a good start and keeping control of your nerves, really.
For anyone at home who hasn't seen this type of bowling before, they're in for a real treat, aren't they? Because the atmosphere is something very special. Oh
yeah, it's electric. There's almost 3,000 people here today, and if you play a few bad bowls, they really let you know, and it does put the pressure on you a little bit, yeah.
You're looking forward to it?
Oh yeah, tremendously. It's a class field today. It's nicely balanced. There's 5 people who've been in the final day before. There's a couple of newcomers, so it's all set up for a nice day's bowl, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all looking forward to it. Well, Roy Armstrong is part of our team. He'll be greenside all day, steering us through what's going on down there. And right now, he has a very simple explanation of the sports rules.
The game of crown bowls is played with 2 bowls which are biased by shape, not weighted, and the jack is biased in exactly the same way. An indentation on the biased side of the bowl signifies the bias, and therefore when you have your thumb on the biased side, that is thumb peg or backhand to the right-hander. Conversely, when you have your finger on the biased side, that is finger peg or forehand to the right-hander. The winner of the previous end has the privilege of sending the jack, and they can send it anywhere on the green, subject to a minimum length of 19 metres. Whichever bowl is nearest the jack counts 1 point and wins the end. And with 2 bowls being played, it's possible for a maximum count of 2 points, or chalks as we call it in the Crown Green game, to be scored. First to 21 is the winner, but of course, as well as playing your opponent, you have to play the green. And the crown of this green is 11 inches, and it's very large. It's 67 yards in the corners, and also it's full of undulations and imperfections which you have to combat.
Thank you, Roy. Those then the rules. Let's now meet our 8 quarter-finalists, and Jim Howarth is the man on the PA.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final day of the 87th Waterloo Handicap. It gives me great pleasure to introduce today's competitors. From Leeds, representing Yorkshire, will you please welcome Derek Ripley. From Sale and representing Cheshire, will you please welcome Robert Crawshaw. From Diggle, representing Greater Manchester, would you please represent Ken Strutt. From Bamber Bridge, and representing the North Lancashire Files, Brian Duncan. From Sale, representing Greater Manchester, Jeff Telford. From Chadderton, representing Greater Manchester, David Thornley. Thornley, representing Cheshire and Greater Manchester, Joe Bradbury. From Murfield, representing Yorkshire, Alan Thompson.
So there we are, we've now met our 8 quarter-finalists. John Bancroft, looking at the 8 men there, the sun is shining, conditions are just about perfect. What are your thoughts now looking at that final field?
Well, if you were a gambling man, you couldn't look any further than Brian Duncan, really. He's the class act in the field, 5 times champion. He's playing his favourite green, this is his favourite venue, without a shadow of a doubt. The green's in perfect condition. If I was picking an outsider in the bottom half, I'd stick my neck out and say David Thornley. I think he's from my part of the world, a great Manchester County player, and he's an up-and-coming young player, and he's played really well so far this week,
Excellent. Well, the first quarter-final, Derek Ripley and Robert Crawshaw, that's coming our way very soon. We're going to take a short break now. But look at the fans here, they can't wait, neither can we. The sun is shining, and Blackpool looks its best in the September sunshine. See you in a couple of minutes.
You're watching Sky Sports.
But Blackpool is still pretty busy, and it still claims, of course, to be the entertainment capital of Great Britain, and it's playing host this week to the Greenall's Waterloo 1995 finals. Our first quarter-final coming up very soon. That's Derek Ripley against Robert Crawshaw. Let's first of all take a check on Derek Ripley, the 16-to-1 outsider. Here's just a brief profile of the man. He plays for the Armley Conservative Club. His best ever appearance in this competition, he made it to the 5th round, and of course, as you can see, a very experienced county player. Well, John, as I said, 16-to-1 outsider. You have to say statistically his chances aren't good. Maybe he feels he's done enough, and this is his final to get this far.
I think that's the crux of this game, really, how Derek feels in his own mind. If he feels he's done enough just to get to the final day, which is an achievement in itself, then his performance might tail off from previous days. But if he feels he really wants to get stuck in, well, you never just know, because he is an experienced player with a lot of big match experience, really.
And will he be fazed by the crowd and the atmosphere?
Well, the final, we'll see in a few minutes, really. That's the million-dollar question, really, just how they will react to the crowd, because it is just a one-off. The final day of the Waterloo, you get no other feeling like it in Crown Green Bowls. It's going to be touch and go. I think Derek might just be overawed by the occasion, personally. Well, that's Derek Ripley then. Let's look at his opponent, Robert Crawshaw. Again, we can just check briefly on his credentials. He plays for the Wilmslow and Sale Excelsior Club. His best ever here, runner-up in 1990, and of course that means he was a semi-finalist. Another experienced county player, and he is 3-to-1, so the bookie's very much going for Robert Crawshaw, and I guess you'd go along with that, John. Yes. Robert's had a fantastic season, actually. He's probably the player of 95, and if he wins this today, it'd just cement that fact. He's won a big tournament in Yorkshire last weekend. He's won 7 tournaments so far this season. He's full of confidence. Really, in this heat, you can't look much further than Robert. And I think even whoever wins a Strutt Duncan game will have the hands full with Robert Crawshaw. So if I was to make you put your money where your mouth is, it's Robert you'd go for? Yes. OK, so it's Derek Ripley against Robert Crawshaw, a quarter-final, our first quarter-final of the day, coming up in a couple of minutes. Meantime, you can see the crowd here really enjoying themselves, getting into the atmosphere. It's a packed crowd, very nearly 3,000 people here enjoying the play. They're looking forward to it. They can't wait for it to start. Back to the Waterloo in Blackpool. We're just about to get underway with our first quarter-final between Derek Ripley and Robert Crawshaw. John, first of all, a word from you about the bookies, because the whole atmosphere here is very much geared to people spending money and backing their favourites. Yeah, Crown Green Bowls is all revolves around betting, really. It's an integral part of the game, heat betting and to win the tournament. In this particular game, there's been a lot of big money for Robert Crawshaw. Not so much on the particular heat, because as you can see there, he's a very short price, 3-to-1 on. But actually to win the tournament from further back in this week, from the last 64 round onwards, he has been quite a lot of money on him.
Right, so Derek Ripley 20-1 for the overall tournament and Robert Crawshaw 4, but those are individual odds 3-1 on Crawshaw for this heat.
Yes, as I say, at those odds there'll be not too many people backing him on the individual heat, but he probably might be part of one or two people's doubles and trebles.
Well, we're about to see whether or not those bookies are right. John, I know you've got to go off and do some commentary duties, but right now, let's go off and join Brian Brett.
Gentlemen, the first of the quarter-finals. Playing in the blue shirt with Derek Ripley, and playing in the red shirt with Robert Crawshaw. The referee, Mr. John Gertry, will now start the game.
Yes, and we start traditionally with the toss of a coin. Robert Crawshaw, in red, won the toss, and he elects to set the first mark, well over the minimum 19 metres distance. We're up and running for the first testing of Crown Green waters by Sky Television, the finals day of the 1995 Greenall's Waterloo Handicap. And in case you may just catch sight of a scoreboard in the background telling you it's 5-5, the explanation is that this is a handicap. The players start on 5 in games of 21. So effectively, first to 16, counting, wins it. The exception being the reigning champion, who is punished 2 points. And he can work the chalks back 1 a year, but this time 5 each on the board. As Crawshaw tries, urges the bow forward to work with the bias, and centres beautifully. They love it. The money's on him. The bets are laid. The die is cast. We have a strike. Derek Ripley winds up, indicates he's going to fire. This, the first end of the first quarter-final. Is he on target? Ooh! Yeah. And leaves one. So that's our first firing shot. John Bancroft now with me in the commentary box. A good first end, John.
Yes, a good start for both players, really. Even though Derek's not counted the end, he'll feel quite confident. He's played a decent ball there with his first lead, and he's only just missed with his strike. So a nerve settler for both players, really.
All right. The crowd buzzing. They're loving it. 6 to Robert Crawshaw, 5 to Derek Ripley from Yorkshire. And this is a typical Crawshaw mark. John, you played pairs in the past. You know him better than most people. He works his way around a green.
Yes, he doesn't head right for the corners like most of the top players tend to. He tends to play large pegging marks, about 35, 30 yards, something like that, usually just across the crown.
Now, when you say pegging marks, for those people who are not too familiar with Crown Green, this is working the bias and working the undulations and playing the crown and that sort of thing.
Yes, obviously the bias when it's towards the crown it is negated, and the ball runs in a fairly straight line. When you play underneath the crown, that's a good ball there from Derek.
Yes, when you then expect the bias to do its work and hopefully follow the jack as that ball from Ripley did. I was interested to hear you talk about Ripley. He's vastly experienced, John, but of course he's not played as regularly recently because of illness. Now then, Crawshaw, again, for a young man, he too, vastly experienced county player. He's been here before. Now Ripley, certainly counting 1, very good bowl. Now this is the work, this is what John Bancroft was talking about. This is the bias, this is off the crown, this is down towards the jack. Just have a look at the jack for 2.
Ripley, 2.
Oh, they love it. What a bowl. Look at this, John, all the way through. Do you see the working here?
Yes, it's just coming inside that bowl, nicely onto the jack. Lovely ball from Derek, that.
Counts 2. And Derek Ripley, in blue, retired man, he's a sales manager. He now would set the mark. I don't know where he's going to go with this. This is all the problem, not quite knowing where the crown bowlers are going to take you, but he's going towards the corner. He's not in a position to exploit full corners as yet, but he's certainly gone a fair old distance. All wrist with Derek Ripley. Now then, this up and over the crown and down. And if they were to go corner to corner, you're talking 63 yards plus. Long way. Look at this for a lead. Needs to pull up just through. Just a yard and a half through. Now then, Robert Crawshaw. His favourite colour is blue, so he's out of luck today. Starts in red. Crawshaw just needs to take a yard out of the running of the first bowl by Ripley. And he's rather undercooked that. He just wants to know distances from the referee. Referee George Gertry from North Lancashire and Fylde County, Fleetwood branch, all these officials. Now then, Ripley wants to work its way past. No, what he might have done now is promoted, and he has promoted the red disc bowl of Robert Crawshaw to count 1. Looking for 2. One of the great runners in the game, Robert Crawshaw, trots after the bowl. Wanted to work. He may just have missed out. He may just have to settle for 1. We're having a look for 1. The players will decide. They'll have a look. Crawshaw puts his hand up. The red disc lollipop is held up by our referee. And it's a single to Robert Crawshaw. These are the nervy, tense ends, and this looks, again, a funny little mark from Robert. John?
Yes, again, he's sticking to his game plan, playing the shorter lengths. As we've seen there with Derek. Derek's gone right for the corners. He's trying to get as far as he can with the jack and dictate the play. But so far, Robert's got control of the jack, and he'll go where he wants to go.
And that is a good lead in that position. There is daylight. There is room here for Derek Ripley. A little bit of nerves there, just trying to settle. Get it absolutely right. And that's the terrace banking in the background. That's where the bookies are. That's where the money boys are. And this is the bowl. Not quite right. Unlucky. So, Robert Crawshaw. 7 across, holding 1 into the 4th end, trying to add a second, working now, looks at the jack, says hello, thank you, holds 2. Derek Ripley under pressure, can't afford to let Crawshaw get away from him.
Just over a foot.
Asking exactly the lie of the land from his opponent and from the referee before delivering this final bowl, which will now peg with the bias and down and trying. Unlucky. Bad news is he's left another two to red. Robert Crawshaw. Exactly the start he wanted. 9-7 off the mat, off the little footer which they used there as a starting point. Crawshaw again knows this green well, will pick his way around it. 2048 set off originally in this tournament back in early July, so we've been going nearly 6 weeks, almost 6 days a week to get down to the final 8. Crawshaw sets the mark, sets the jack out, plays the lead. Looks all right, looks very tasty. Well, now he's going to challenge this, is he, John? Is he challenging the distance?
Yes. Derek obviously feels that the jack hasn't travelled 19 metres. That's the legal limit that the jack must travel to be marked. And now the 2 referees will come on and measure the distance and check it out.
Yes. Actually, Derek Ripley has had a little walk up and down, and I think he knows this is a mark. Oh, it's easily a mark.
Run out of tape.
Yeah,
it's a mark, leave it there.
Leave it there, said the referee, George. Gertrude. Right, that is a genuine mark, it looked it. I don't know whether Derek Ripley was just trying to slow down this charge of Robert Crawshaw, but it was certainly way over 20 metres. the irony now would be if he put one on the jack. That would be very nasty. What's he doing here? He's just gone through. It's a nice mark. Ripley will not be troubled by this sort of mark. So, Robert Crawshaw, holding one. May only be one. Ripley on the footer, waiting. Just wants to know whether it's one against him or two. That will determine the choice of shot. It is one at the moment. He may elect to run at the bowl that's counting at the moment. A little bit of running in the bowl. He's got something to rest on and to work on, but he's not got it right. Tried to play out the winning bowl, but another single. Robert Crawshaw.
Crawshaw
10-7
won.
his lead. And the strange thing about the Waterloo, John Bancroft, as you well know, is you can turn around after half a dozen ends and you're on the way to defeat.
Yes, it is a sprint. Getting a good start is all important. Although Derek's 10-7 behind, he's not done a lot wrong. He's no reason to be downhearted. It's not as though he's been throwing his bowls about. He's played one or two good bowls. It's just that Robert has led very well. He's played them close to the jack and he's coupled up.
Right. Robert Crawshaw places the jack where he wants it. There will be no challenge from Ripley. This is a good lead. Beautiful. What a good bowl, Crawshaw. He's looking hot. The pressure now is already on Ripley, because if Crawshaw were to count maybe two at this end, there is certainly daylight. So, Ripley, hoping the bowl can work with the bias. Tuck around the back. Not a lot wrong with it. Just his weight coming through. Crawshaw, lovely stylist. This is the land. This is the lie of the land. Crawshaw after it. Looking to count two. What a good coupling that is. Now this, John, he's going to have to use a bit of weight, isn't he?
Yes, Derek will be looking to use the striking shot at this now to try and clear Robert's bowls and the jack off the green.
Yes, he has a funny winding up action when he strikes. Long strike forward, the bowl is on its way. Can he just clip it? He's got the gap, he's got his own. Well, that was really an unfortunate strike. In that the connection he wanted, John, he didn't get, did he?
No, he wasn't too far off. He's only missed it with a couple of inches, but take nothing away from Robert. It's exhibition stuff at the moment. He's leading really well, and that's what the game's all about. There's only two bowls at Crown Green Bowls, so you don't want to waste any of them. And your first bowl is the important one. If you can put one anywhere near the jack, especially as Robert is with these short marks, it's putting your opponent under pressure, making him reach up, and then giving you self chance to couple up.
Yes, it's all about leading this game. Judgment, line and length. Hold your nerve. Nearly a yard through.
Now this is the first end that is give Derek any room whatsoever, so it's very important really for Derek to step in here.
Well, I don't think he's quite as overweight as Robert. Got a chance now. Got a chance. Stop. Yep, just about won it. We are into the seventh end. Crawshaw, 12-7, but one against him. Looking to make amends for that first delivery, needs an adjustment, and he's got it. What a correction. Good stuff. Now he wants to know, Ripley will ask the referee how many are against him. Just the one. The option then again is the strike. He hasn't signalled yet. It's very difficult to beat the bowl, so he is going to strike. Here we go again. He's winding up the right arm, and the ball is on his way. Got a chance. Got a chance. The jack is going to go off the green. Good strike. He's got one right at last. And that was the result he wanted, John.
Yes, it's a good strike that. He didn't fire at top speed. He's used pretty control weight there, and he's cleared everything off the green. He'll be pleased with that result.
So that is now a dead end. They will restart a metre in from where the jack went off. No points are scored at that end, but Crawshaw, who sets the mark at the previous end, retains the jack and sets the mark again. Crawshaw. Picking out some nice territory, not quite the flat green territory that in 1987 saw him runner-up in the, look at this lead, in the England indoor triples. With Gordon Niven, who is player with the Bolton club, and of course Noel Burrows, another well-known crown flat bowler who skipped them. And of course Crawshaw in the 1986 Super Bowl counted a remarkable win against David Bryant. Now an unlucky connection there for Derek Ripley. There's nothing going for him. It's around this time, John, you start wondering, isn't it?
Well, yeah, things are not just going right for him, but again, he's not really throwing a lot of bad balls. It's just that Robert's playing so well. I mean, he's been unfortunate there that he's running the back of it.
Look at this, John. That's 2, isn't it?
It just looks that way from here.
Just nudged through, didn't it? You want to know. It's 2, you see. The last end where it was 1, he struck and took everything off. Well, this time he's going to try the other hand, is he, and work his way around. No, he's not. He's, oh, he might have done, but he's missed it completely. He's missed it completely. And left 2. That really was a slack end for Derek. He disowns that one. How did that happen? No way. That's not my bowl.
That's the first sign of nerves really from Derek there. I think he's starting to feel it a little bit now. The crowd are probably going to get on his back now because they don't have a lot of sympathy when you start sending bad balls this lot here in Blackpool.
Well, they all play, John, and as you know, everybody out there is a better player than on the green. But at 14-7 to Crawshaw, it's just sort of getting a little dark. The last Yorkshire winner of the Waterloo was Roy Nicholson back in 1981, but prior to that it was Albert Ringrose in 1948. Good lead. Robert Crawshaw.
Good stuff this from Robert.
Well, it is, but of course he makes his own bowls, doesn't he? Because he is a bowls maker.
He is, yes, in Stockport.
Got the right tackle.
He'll have to make me some if they keep going this near the Jack.
Well, that's a good look at this. It's unlucky. Roy Armstrong is down greenside and very close to the action. Roy, how do you weigh all this up?
Well, down here at greenside, the conditions are absolutely perfect for bowling. It's very warm. There's just a slight breeze, and I noticed that the heavy dew that was apparent overnight has gone. The sun has burnt that off. The green's freshly mown, and it's playing absolutely perfectly. It really makes you want to play. I'm sure that many of the people in the crowd would absolutely love to be on that green playing, and consequently the bowlers are playing the bowls very closely. It's going to be a fascinating match.
Thank you, Roy. Among the people who'd like to be playing out there, Roy Armstrong, of course. Now then, Derek Ripley put a little running in the ball, tries to take it out and fails, and that, unfortunately, has been the story of Derek Ripley this morning. Look at this, John.
Yeah, that's been Derek's problem. He's not really connected apart from one occasion with his through balls, really, his strikes or his control weight shots.
Yes, well, at 15-7 to the man in red. On one heck of a task. Ripley started out as 3-1 on. We started out as 2-1 against to win the heat, while Crawshaw was 3-1 on. A lot of money on Crawshaw to go all the way. Been there before. Runner-up to Brian Duncan in 1992. Losing semi-finalist in 1990. Crawshaw has been there before. Ripley is trying to get there, but it's all stacked against him. Good bowl. A lot of sympathy in that applause for Derek Ripley. The rubs have gone against him, but Crawshaw has played the bowls. And he play one now. Got a good bowl to beat. Got a good bowl to beat. No, it's just dropped short. A little bit of danger here for Ripley, because he wants to know if he makes contact
6 inches past
on the bowl from Crawshaw, he could knock him in. So he's got to steer well wide. We might get a view of this. He's going to have to go well wide at the short bowl.
He's changing his peg and coming thumb peg now and trying to miss the bowl on the backside.
Well, it's a brave shot, John. He's trying, isn't he? He's trying. Well, we don't know. He's certainly won, Derek Ripley, and that's after a run of 9, a break of 9 for Crawshaw. Certainly won to Ripley.
He's just been unlucky there. He's just touched his own ball and just gone out.
Yes. As we say, the players themselves will determine the end unless there is a bit of a dispute, and they can call for a measure, but only on the completion of the end, of course. In the meantime, they can ask the referee and he will give them his opinion on who is lying in. Now, Ripley has tried to get to these big corners. It was a long time since he tried it. It was the second end where he counted a double. Now at the 9th end he counted a single, and now we're into the 10th end, and really there's no turning back. He's got to start counting. Now look at this, down and over and off the crown. Big crown, 11 inches, but it extends. Good lead there, John.
Yes, it's a big yard from the jack, but at Crown Green bowls, a yard bowl isn't always a bad one, because the level of the green isn't even, and you're going over the crown. Sometimes you're going up to 65 yards in length, so a yard bowl is sometimes a good bowl. Especially we're just wearing this bottom corner, what is commonly known as the gate corner.
I wonder if Roy Anson's got a good view down there. Roy, this is a tricky corner. The first bowl a yard short, the second 2 yards. What chances?
Well, I'm about 10 feet from where the jack is, and as John said, it's just a yard from the edge. Very precarious. Anything, it's very, very close, nearly gone off. But actually, that's not counting. It's only once. Gone. It's gone. But even though the bowl's a yard short, it's a very difficult bowl to beat. Here he is now, Robert, coming thumb peg, coming right up and over the crown. Looks good. Looking good. Just going to die, is it? Just limping in. There it is. It's won it. Good bowl.
Thank you, Roy. Those magic words. Won it. 1 to red. Crawshaw back in the driving seat. 16-8 his advantage. And again he picks fresh land. John Bancroft, I think he's counted his points on a different piece of land every end. Yeah, but Derek will be very disappointed, really. He needed to count that end so he could go right full distance, right in the corners as far as he can. If Robert has got, I wouldn't say a weakness, but it's certainly not his strength to play right in the corners. On these short sort of 25, 30 yard length marks, he's one of the top players. Yes, let's remind people back home there is a vast difference between the crown and flat bowls, of course. Derek Ripley were using 2 pound 11 ounce, and John Bancroft, Robert Crawshaw, 2 pound 10. So there is a big difference in this game. Robert Crawshaw, a length bowl against him. He set them up. And he's urging the bowl to bend right at the end and fall back maybe. I think not. Derek Ripley is on for 1. He's going to fancy his chances of 2. Right, this is the challenge. Has he got it right? All wrist movements, Derek Ripley. Stands, watches. Is he confident? He is. Just nudges the jack for 2. Confirmed as 2 to Ripley. His second double of the 5 he's counted to add to the 5 start. And there are various sort of turning points in games of bowls, John, and at 10-16 this might just be one.
Well, again, Derek needs to establish a pattern to his game. What he keeps trying to do is go into the corners, and get the long lengths going, start playing a few leads, putting Robert under pressure. But Robert's not allowing him to count at least 2 ends together, so he can't establish a pattern to his game.
Oh, it's a very mixed game too. Robert Crawshaw sticking to his 28, 30, 35 yard marks. Ripley anxious to get distance and lead well. And he's done precisely that.
And now. That's the first time he's played any sort of a decent lead off his own jack. So
difficult to beat there, John, because it's in the approach, isn't it, on that hand?
It is. It's slightly in the way. It's slightly more uphill into this corner, so you can often play short balls.
So it's a push. Even with the green running well, with a shaving this morning, with a bit of dew on it, it's going to quicken during the day, hopefully. Nearly 3,000 people in here now. Not many spare seats. Derek Ripley.
Now what he needs to do now is couple up here, play another good second ball, make sure that he puts Robert under a bit of pressure.
It's not a great second ball, John, but it is counting too. And Robert will fancy cutting the count here, won't he?
He will do, but the ball's slightly in the way, so he's got to get past them all. He's got three balls in his way
he's
there.
Far enough. He's far enough. He's far enough. I went against him that time, but he certainly cut the count to a single.
Ripley, 1.
Yeah, well, a little bit of bad fortune here for Robert this time. Just runs into the back of that first bowl and stops. Good stuff. Another single. Derek Ripley. And now, John, for the first time, he's in a corner and in a position to go full corners.
That's right. If he chooses now, and he has done, he's gone right as far as he can into the other corner. The jack, when it finishes, is probably going to be 45, 50 yards at least.
Oh, more, I think, John, isn't it? Wait a minute. Try and work it out. Right, 50.
Yeah.
This is a difficult corner, isn't it? This is the one all the bowlers will tell you is the hardest corner.
Yes, well, it's a faster running corner, slightly downhill, and there's a ridge running down into the corner, so you've got to have your balls on the right side of the ridge or they never recover.
Well, we can see that actually from the picture, John. He's missed it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got on the wrong side of the ridge with his ball, and even with the bias of the ball, it will not allow it to peg over the top of the ridge.
So Robert Crawshaw can learn from that. He will know the mark in any event, but he gets a sighter from the first bowl delivered by Derek Ripley. Now then, it looks a better line. It's just his length, isn't it? Just let him down. It's a good road.
And this is the difference in the length that is all part of the game, really. Now the man with the jack dictates the length of the jack, and this is where the difficulty comes in. When you haven't got the jack, you're playing unfamiliar length, and it's hard to put those balls near the jack.
You lose the feel-good factor, John. What about this? So is he feeling good about this? Just about. Oh,
it's just limped in, but Robert's got plenty of room, really. He should be beating these, Robert.
It's all right for us up here, John.
Well, he'll be disappointed if he doesn't beat these.
I know. But the nerves start playing havoc here. Clip off it. That's the way. That's the way to do it. Oh, dear me. Now that is going to count, you know. Oh, dear. That is going to count, I think. But a very fortunate knock on wood that was for Robert Crawshaw. They'll wait and have a look. Robert's got to arrive. Have a look. Fancies his, claims his.
Crawshaw,
Derek
1.
can't believe it. It's 1. Robert Crawshaw. It was a very slack end, but it gives Crawshaw now at 17-11 a chance of going for game. Right up to the centre of the crown, John, because it's a wide spread, the crown, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't go to a sharp point.
Oh, no.
It's spread right down to the edges of the green here at the Waterloo.
Now just run a little bit more, and that will be an excellent lead. It's a difficult mark to adjust to. Bear in mind, we've just been going a distance of in excess of 50 yards to something like 30, 35. Big adjustment. Terry Ripley, the wrist bowler. Not a great arm movement there. Just wants his bowl to work now and edge past the red disc like that. Well, that is appreciated, and he likes that. He likes that. Good stuff. Very difficult now for Robert to negotiate a way through. He's got to be far enough. He might just get a nice contact. Let's have a look. Try to find another way in. Still counting. Derek Ripley. Confirmed by referee
Only about
George
9 inches,
Autry.
the most.
9 inches. Can't afford to make a contact.
No more than 9. To put him on.
Well, I hope you understood that at home. Any connection on the Crawshaw bowl could knock him in, providing it's something like 9 inches. So he's got to steer well clear of that. On his way. Mind you, he's got to play bravely now. He's got to go for it. He's got to try and count 2. He's holding 1. Well, he's got to rest on the back bowl, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
Ripley, 1.
Just the 1. Well, it's another single. Derek Ripley slowly pegging back. 12-17 off the footer. But the cleverness of the dodge there by Robert is that he can't get full corners unless he wins 2 ends anyway.
That's right. Robert's gone right into the middle of the green. He's forcing Derek just to go right back where they've come from, which is a length that's going to suit Robert. It's all part of the tactics of the game.
He'll push the jack as far as he dare, and the danger is that it could work against him. No, that's the jack. They come in different colours, white and yellow, and I saw Robert practising with a red one earlier. I've never seen a red jack before. Maybe that's one of his own making. Now then, Ripley. This is the way the bias has got to work for him. He's got to swing left to right as we look at it. Again, there is a ridge down there, so if he gets the wrong side of it, he's no chance. Crawshaw. Narrowed the line. Has he learned from the Ripley bowl? Is he far enough? He's not, you know. So a good chance for Ripley to correct. Takes his time. No wonder. 12-17 against him. Occasionally steps off the foot and then steps back out, composes himself and delivers. Has he delivered the goods? They're all over the place, aren't they, this end? It's there for the winning.
It's a very slack end, this.
There's no indication who's on, John. I think Robert could be on, couldn't he?
I think Robert's on. I think he's going to go for a double here.
Yeah, double header, and that's bad news. 17-12, let's remind you, holding 1, needing 2 to get very close to a win, but it is a loose end. The nerves are affecting Derek Ripley. It's all against him. He's kicked his bowls in. It's 2. 2 to Crawshaw. Now then, at 19-12, he could win it at the next end. He's counted 4 doubles already. He's going back up to virtually the centre of this green onto the crown. Lead now, and the pressure absolutely on Derek Ripley. Crawshaw just strokes that one out. Crowd quiet, slowly, a little bit of a hum. Slight applause. Not bad. We're into the 16th end. There was 1 dead end. We're into the 16th end of a game that's getting away from Derek Ripley. He can just ghost inside the first bowl if he's far enough. If he's far enough, he's not. He's into the back of Robert Crawshaw's first bowl. Promotes it a couple of inches. Now just over a foot away from the jack. And he's just 2 chalks away from a semi-final place. He needs to put more running in this, but he's not. He's not. He ain't going to win at this end. Ripley. He will have the final say of the 16th end. He can't be short. He can't afford to be short. He's got to find a way past the 3 bowls and up to the jack and try and take the jack. He's unlucky. That was the tactic.
Crawshaw, 1.
Another single. Robert Crawshaw. All but 12, as we say, in the Crown Green game. 1 point away from victory. Beautiful day here in Blackpool. Look at this crowd, 3,000, they're all loving it. You know, when the tournament started, just 1 or 2 seats there, tell somebody quick. Years ago, they started, you know, as a late season tournament. And as an obstructive view, that's why that's clear. Years ago, this was an October event when the start there. I had 3 tournaments, 19, 7, 8 and 9. It didn't get the entries. It was a bit cool and damp, so they left it in 1910, brought it back in 1911, and ever since then, it's been September-ish, and it's brought the crowds in. And it's grown from 300 entries to 2,048. Derek Ripley knows now. He's not going to get anything. 2012. Robert Crawshaw holds the 1. He needs to get it. He'll stick another one in, won't he? Just past the jack. Just go past the jack if you can. No. But he's counting 2. He only needs 1. Derek Ripley. Good applause there. He's bowled very well. He's put the pressure always on Derek Ripley, who now has to count at this end, or it's a bus ride or car ride back to Yorkshire. This is it, to decide the first semi-finalist. Has he picked the jack, has he played the ball out? He's rubbed it, he's looked at it, he's gone through and he's gone out. And that really is an excellent win for Robert Crawshaw. The game finishes and it ends with a handshake. But John Bancroft, very quickly, I think your tip was right. He's a big occasion bowler.
Yes, he is a big occasion bowler, Robert, but take nothing away from Derek really there. He hasn't played too bad. It's just that Robert's led so well on those little short marks, and he's been forcing Derek to play up, play through balls. Derek's never really had the opportunity to establish his pattern to the game. So all credit to Robert really there. It's an excellent performance.
So a fascinating opening match. First quarter-final, Derek Ripley putting up a good show, but it's Robert Crawshaw through to the semi-finals. And coming up in just a moment, the man who's really dominated this event in recent years, B Duncan. He takes on Ken Strutt in our second quarter-final. That to look forward to in a couple of minutes from now here in Blackpool. We've had a fascinating opening quarter-final match here in the Greenhalgh's 1995 finals. It was just as the bookies predicted, in fact, because Robert Crawshaw, the odds-on favourite, in fact, going through to the semi-finals, and our winner now is talking to Roy Armson.
Well, Robert, it's always nice to get that first game in the can. How did you feel about it?
Well, I felt very comfortable, really. Obviously, I got off to a good start with Derek, and he couldn't exert any real pressure on me. So, yeah, it was nice and comfortable.
Perhaps just one moment of concern when Derek lay 13-16 and you came with that ball that was always far enough and just wicked in off.
Well, I didn't know he got to 13-16. I never really looked at the score all game. I was happy with the way I was playing, and I always felt that he wouldn't really get a run on me.
What do you think about the green this morning, Robert?
It's beautiful. It's probably running quicker than it has done all week. And I've seen Derek play. I took great pains to watch his games from the last 64, and he never really played anything else other than corners. So it was a game plan today to shorten him right down and see how he performed.
Good, well, that's our first semi-finalist through, David. Over to you.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, John Bancroft's been watching that match, of course, and commentating on it. John, your thoughts? You suspected that Crawshaw would be too good. Indeed, he was. Yeah,
he's played a top-class game there, Robert. Derek obviously is going to be disappointed as he's lost, but he's not done an awful lot wrong, really. I think on the day, Robert was just too good for him. But there'll be plenty of happy punters out there because, as I said before, there's a lot of big money going on, Robert, for this tournament.
Yeah. Robert was making the point that the green is playing beautifully, and it certainly does look to be playing splendidly, and it looks immaculate.
Yeah, it's in fantastic condition. It's the best condition it's been in for years, actually. It's a credit to the greensman here.
How important is it the way it feels, you know, when you go out for that quarter-final stage? You know, you need to get it right just really from that first bowl, don't you?
That's right. How you play the first end really dictates the rest of the game. I mean, if you send a couple of bad bowls, obviously it doesn't settle your nerves, where if you play a couple of good ones, obviously you feel as though you're involved in the game, you're into it, you can start dictating your pattern of play. But if you send a few loose ones at the first few ends, the crowd get on your back here at the Waterloo, and then it's hard work then.
OK, so that's Crawshaw against Ripley out of the way. Coming next, of course, it's Strutt and Duncan.
Well, this is the game of the quarter-finals, really. This is a real hard match to choose, really. I mean, obviously Duncan's the big favourite, but Ken Strutt played a fantastic game yesterday.
Well, you mentioned Ken Strutt. Let's take a brief check on the pen picture of Ken Strutt, and there we are. He plays for the Georgian Dragon, Friesland, his best ever. Well, he was a finalist here 13 years ago, and again, another very experienced county player. and as you say, in particularly good form right now, John.
Yeah, he's playing well. He's probably not at his best season overall, but just at the moment he's been playing some really good bowls. I mean, in 1982 they lost in the final, and he's considered to be one of the unluckiest men ever to lose in the final of the Waterloo.
I guess from the reception the crowd gave him, a very popular player too.
Yes, he is. I mean, both these men are well known throughout the bowling world, and they're popular with the punters because they always feel that they're getting value for money when they bat these two. They always know they can get a good run, and they're real hard triers, both of them.
Brian Duncan, of course, as I've said, is 5 times former champion, Mr. Crown Green Bowls. He really is the hot favourite here, and not surprisingly, when you look at this, 5 times winner. He's won so many other tournaments as well, 50 appearances for his county, 51 years of age, but Brian Duncan really is the hot name, and really the bookies obviously fancy him too, John.
Well, you'd be hard-pressed to go down there and get a bet on Brian Duncan at the moment. You'd probably be looking at getting 5 to 4 at best, really. There's been a lot more money from this morning. Everybody else, everybody loves to see Brian Duncan play bowls. Everyone wants to see him get beaten, but everyone wants to see him play. I mean, he's the best that the game's ever produced by a long way. I mean, he's a fantastic player.
In a word, what's it going to take to stop him? Because he looks unstoppable, doesn't he?
The toss is going to be very important in this game, actually. Brian has a particular mark that he chooses to play, and where they're starting from, if he wins a toss, he'll come finger peg into this commentary box corner, and if he gets in there, he's right on his favourite mark, right in the corners. It's very important that Ken either wins the toss or at least gets in that first end to keep Brian off that mark.
OK, well, we'll see how it works out. It's Ken Strutt against Brian Duncan. That's our next quarter-final. Let's now join our commentary team of Roy Armstrong and Hugh Johns.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second of the quarter-finals, playing in the blue shirt, will be Ken Strutt, and in the red shirt, Brian Duncan. Over to the referee, Mr. Alwyn Owen, to start the game.
Mr. Alwyn Owen is the commentator.
Tells, it's your block, Brian. Good game.
Referee for this game.
Good game, Brian. Good game.
In red,
if you want to know, ask.
the king of crown bowls, Brian Duncan. Man who has been bowling for 39 years, started as a lad at 12, and in that 39 years he's won the admiration of spectators throughout the game of crown bowls, and the respect, the undoubted respect of every man, woman and child who plays this game. This man has, he's done it all. He's been there, he's seen that, he's got the T-shirt, and he is still the man that every bowler wants to beat. Ken Strutt could be that man in this match. Ken on the road with his first through. And the winning of this end is an important factor in Brian Duncan's tactical planning, because if he wins this end, I think I'm right in saying, Roy Armstrong, he will be on his favourite mark.
Yes, as John Bancroft said, the importance of winning the toss to Brian is vital. He always plays finger peg in this corner. He always starts the game here if he wins, and this is his favourite mark. And as you rightly say, unless Ken can stop him, he will now go finger peg right into the corner of the north stand, and he'll go a distance around about 62 yards.
62 yards with an almost round object that won't run straight because it's biased, and it's got to go over an 11-inch little mountain out in the middle of what we look down on from here as a perfectly flat square, but it isn't. It's 45 yards square, and I believe Pythagoras then tells us that's about 63 yards into the corner. Brian Duncan scoring on the board 6, but of course everybody starts on 5 in the Waterloo handicap. That dates back, donkey's years, when this competition first started in 1907, when the professional players were handicapped against the predominantly amateur players, so shots had to be given away. And even now, of course, that old tradition still obtains, Roy.
Yes, that's right. Although the rules of handicapping have changed over the past decade, the situation now is that whoever wins the competition this year will be penalised 2 chalks but for 1 year only.
Chalks is the term used in the scoring process of crown bowls because of the old-fashioned marking system of slates, pieces of slate and a chalk to see who's doing what. And there goes Ken Strutt. He's in. And listen to that applause. With the odds as short as they are, I don't know what the heat is. Roy, did you get a pick up on what the winner of the heat is on at the moment?
Yes, the heat betting for this game, if you wanted to back Brian Duncan, you would have to lay 5-2 on. For Ken Strutt, you could have 7-4. And that was a very good end for Ken Strutt, and noticing him walking across the green there, he's a very, very slow, methodical player, never hurries, very, very consistent. And in this game, because he knows that Brian likes to play quickly, he'll be even slower, I think.
Strutt, finger peg, but Byers dropped him down below and hadn't got the weight to get the full distance. Brian also falling into that same trap, I think, weight-wise.
Yes, this is one of Ken Strutt's favourite marks, Hugh. He always likes to come finger peg up here. In point of fact, he's changed his hand with that bowl. He's coming thumb peg because Brian's bowl's in the way.
So he's coming in backhand and he gets a very good collision. Excellent. Well, that's a good promotion for his first bowl, and his second has dropped into it as a counter at the moment. Brian Duncan taking the same course. That is turning the bowl over, different bias, run, and saving, and winning. And winning. What a magnificent delivery that was.
Yes, Ken Strutt actually showed Brian the way in, going thumb peg. Absolutely perfect bowl. Perfect length, just brushed the jack and stayed in to count.
So Brian Duncan gets the block back in his grasp and sends it out into that far corner, hoping to win the end and then proceed back onto his favourite diagonal across the green. Well, it is sunny Blackpool, as you can see. The forecast, there's pretty poor for weather today. Rain was forecast, but as usual, I think the lads at the Met Office may have got it wrong. Certainly it's a summer-clad holiday crowd here at the Waterloo. This beautiful green in the shadow of the Waterloo Hotel in the Waterloo Road in Blackpool. Well, Brian's found one there. Ken Strutt to save. Hey, the road is right. The road is right. What about the weight? It's done. No, it hasn't.
Duncan, one.
Nope. So, Brian Duncan, another single. And as we said, Brian Duncan, man who has won this enormous, prestigious tournament more times than any man in the history going back as far as 1907. In fact, only two bowlers have ever won it twice. That was Bernard Kelly many years ago, and then Arthur Murray won it twice. But this man, Brian Duncan, 5 times the winner of the Waterloo. The Waterloo, which is the FA Cup final, if you like, of crown bowls.
I noticed actually at the weekend, Hugh, a lot of people think that Brian Duncan just turns up to a green and just sends his bowl and plays. But I was here for the final of the Ladies Waterloo Championship, which finished around 5:30 in the evening. The first player on the green at the conclusion of play to practice, Brian Duncan.
Well, he's on a length, and that is a winner at this moment. But Ken Strutt has one to come. referee Alwyn Owen having a little look.
The red one's favourite.
Well, that's what you have to put up with here at the Waterloo. Everybody's an expert out in that audience. It's a tight line, but the running looks good. If it stops now, it wins it. Gone out. So that's another one to Brian Duncan. And Ken Strutt's certainly taking his time about walking around the green.
Yes, he was a little unfortunate there, Hugh. If he'd have just touched the jack,
Duncan,
he'd
one.
likely to have had two. But Brian now going once again in his favourite corner. One of the areas that he's very expert at is absolutely placing the jack in the right position. Both the players are playing with identical weight bowls. They're both playing with 2 pound 12 ounce composition bowls. But I think Brian has quickly sussed out that his bowls are just fractionally stronger than Ken's, and I think he'll try and exploit this along this ridge.
And the strength of the bowls is in the amount that it will bend. It will turn with the bias. Ken Strutt, of course, with a bowling family around him. His son Paul, a very, very fine bowler, and his daughter Debbie, pretty good too. And that, of course, was the other way of getting in.
Yes, to be fair, I think it would have won it with a clear, but just that little wick helped it just to divert it to the left near to the jack. Here's Brian going now. He's trying to just sit on that bowl.
Too strong, it's overcoming the bias. The bend won't happen until it got past the target. This, of course, the great thing. You've got to be able to get the length on the bowl to get it there and have it slowing down just when you want it to, so that the bias can move the bowl sideways. But that's an important end for Ken Strutt to win, because it stops Brian going back into his favourite playing area. Ken Strutt, a 57-year-old bowler. He came to bowls actually rather late. He was 26 years old when he first started. Self-employed card nailer, which I understand is a fairly important job in the textile industry.
And once again, Ken coming finger peg towards the pub. The feature of this mark is that most of the players know it's 2 yards slower coming up to the pub here, and that's quite a good league. And the other feature is that the bowls just tend to hang back against the bias here. They don't pull as much as you think they would do.
Well, the bowler's bowling directly at the one area of this stadium which is standing room only, and it's there that the bookies populate. And the bowlers will get plenty of information from that audience down there as to whether they're on or not.
Brian's got a good shot on here. I think he'll go and try and take that jack through and count two. No, he's playing to beat him, but I think he's short. That's very uncharacteristic of Brian.
Strutt, one.
You're getting out for short. So Ken Strutt. Finger peg bowl, that's in flat bowls terms, lawn bowls terms, a forehand bowl. The bias on the right of the bowl as it runs towards the jack, and there's the bias working, dragging it in. Needs to hit something. Ken Strutt turning his ball over. This time, thumb peg, backhand. Oh, that's sailing away, sailing through. And the crowd let Brad Duncan know. And a double for Ken Strutt. Well, that's the first double of the game, and that's very uncharacteristic of Brian. Got his weight totally wrong there.
Yes, I think he was also inside the line as well, which meant it narrowed away from the jack. But I think Ken Strutt is doing what we call in sail here. He's doing a little bit of grinding. You know, he's just grinding away at Brian, slowing him down, and it's just having its effect. This is the crucial end now. If he counts this end, he'll really think that he's got a big chance.
You can very seldom tell what Ken Strutt is thinking behind what he wears as an impenetrable mask. I've never seen him smile. I don't know whether he does, but it's absolutely dour. I think that may have gone out from Brian Duncan. He looks anxiously over.
Blue ball!
Yes, the blue bowl is counting. Ken Strutt's blue bowl, his first one. Hold that line, hold that line, hold that line. Probably two, yes. Duncan with some saving to do, or perhaps still some winning to do. Will the crowd feel that he's got a hit? Oh, he found the gap. Well, that's doubles back to back for Ken Strutt. 12-9.
Strutt, 2.
Yes, he was hoping to get a connection on the jack there, take it through for 2, but went clear and left Ken Strutt 2. Very important end, and those bookmakers down there will all be rubbing their hands now. They can see a little bit of a light in the window from what this morning looked a very dark room, because a lot of them are going to lose a fair bit of money.
Well, I wonder what the odds are fluctuating on the heat down there now. And the crowd urging that to go in. These two will have met before many times over the years. And Brian is finding it difficult out there. It's fair to say that 95 has not been one of Brian Duncan's best years of bowls. Won a couple of events, the Green All Ends Invitation, the Whitbread Masters. But Brian has not been winning with the alarming consistency of many previous years. Trying to wave it in, he's short. That's 2 more. 2. That's 2 more. Well, this really is dramatic.
Yes, they're both in the same boat, actually, Hugh. Ken Strutt also has had a pretty quiet year by his own high standards. Hasn't been playing to the top of his form, but I was talking to some of the people from Oldham yesterday, and they feel that in the last 3 to 4 weeks, he's shown glimpses of his usual standard. And here he is playing thumb peg to the pub again, just a little bit on the low side, a good length, but that's nearly 4 feet off.
Duncan's really got to get that block back in his hands. This critical crowd telling everybody that it was on its way out when it was only halfway down the green. They like that one. Still there to be beaten. gone out. Hey, that could be two more.
2.
It is. Well, Brian Duncan. Duncan being taken to the cleaners here.
Yes, he was looking to find a length here, and he's really struggling with the length. It went 2 yards past the jack. Left Ken Strutt 2, and Brian's body language shows you that he's really struggling with his game now, and it's the length that's getting him. He just can't get this length, and I think it's time now he should just slow his second bowl down a bit. Ken Strutt going back from whence he came, 35 yards, thumb peg just underneath the crown.
And that's 4 doubles on the trot. I should think those 4 doubles have made Brian Duncan punch drunk. Well, Ken's lead there wasn't as good as it has been in the last couple of ends. Brian needs to find one here. The road is not quite good enough, and the weight is letting him down. He's having more difficulty with weight in this match than I think I've ever seen him. Oh, Strutt is there. Oh, yes, sir. Ken is strutting his stuff out here.
And Brian having a close look at this now. It's important. It's only one. I think he'll have a go at that.
Yep, he's having a bang. Our cameraman in some danger there. Aye! Got one out.
Duncan.
Got one out. Left himself in. So Brian Duncan did it.
Yes, one down. He struck at the bowl, got it out, just half bowled it, flirted it out. Brian Duncan counts the end. What a lifesaver. Here he is now, and I think he'll go in the opposite corners. He'll go thumb peg down to the heavy part of the green. This is about 50 yards going in this corner. But the feature of this corner is that when you stand down there an awful lot, I mean, I've stood down there for about 20 years, you see good bowls beaten. A bowl a foot off in this corner is not sure to count.
Well, well underneath, but weight-wise that wasn't too bad. Weight-wise that wasn't too bad. That's going the distance. That's going the distance, all right. That's right on the button. Oh, what a bowl. From some 50 yards away, and he's, what, 6 inches from the jack. It'll need a wonder bowl from Brian to beat it. It's got a chance. It's got a chance. So unlucky. Ken Strutt holding one. All he needs is to remember exactly what he did just a few moments ago and deliver his second bowl in the same way.
He's gone the other way in, actually.
Yes, he
He's gone
has.
finger peg, and this is a very difficult peg. If he finds one here, he's done really well.
Now,
One to Strutt.
well, I wonder what caused him to turn his bowl over, Roy.
I think he thought that Brian's second bowl was nearer than it was, and he was worried about hitting his own bowl onto the jack and putting Brian in. But I think if he'd have had a little bit more knowledge of the geography there, I think he would have gone the same peg. Anyway, he's in pole position now. He's going up over the green now.
Well,
going thumb peg.
There's the hotel that stands just above this fine green, the Waterloo Hotel in the Waterloo Road, Blackpool, where the Waterloo Handicap is played. Sunshine bathing the green, and summer-suited audience, something around 3,000 of them, enjoying this tussle. Ken Strutt. It's against him at the moment. And Duncan is still holding.
One to Duncan.
Just one to Duncan. And what may be going through Ken Strutt's mind now, I wonder if it did. 13 years ago, on this very green, Ken Strutt reached the final of the Waterloo Handicap, 1982. And there he was with Dennis Mercer, and he was 59 up. His nose in front, 6 chalks in front, and yet he lost it, 2021. And with Brian Duncan, you can never, ever say that you've beaten him until the 21st point is up on the board. Ken a little heavy. Brian chasing his bowl in. He needs to kick it, because it's not going to arrive. Downcast Duncan.
Ken Strutt looking here, Hugh. I think he's going to strike at that bowl. It's certainly easier to hit it than beat it.
Yes. He can knock that red bowl out and stay on the green himself. How close is he? Got it. What a fine shot.
One to Strutt.
Brilliant piece of bowling, Roy.
Yes, Ken was only one down, and he knew that if he hit this ball, quarter ball or any ball, he'd get it out. And one to Strutt. What a brilliant strike.
Hey, I just wonder whether this could be Ken Strutt's year. He's won so many great things in the game of bowls. The McKinley's 31 up here on this Waterloo green, for instance. Greater Manchester Merit winner twice. Oh, his winning sheet is covered with fine victories. And he's certainly on song here now.
Yes, you see that little extra strength in the ball there, Hugh, that little extra bias just pulled it on the narrow side of the jack. Ken's going thumb peg here. Not a lot of bend in the bowl. The aiming point's only 2 foot to the left of the jack.
Steady up, steady up, steady up. Yes. A little kiss on the block as he went past to tuck it in tighter, but Brian, he can only whack at this now. Here he goes. Got one out.
One to Strutt.
Yes, Brian hoping to get rid of the jack here, but he just got one ball and left Ken Strutt in with one. So Ken's going for game at this end now.
So Ken Strutt with a 1911 advantage, which is an enormous distance. Tremendous mountain Brian Duncan would have to climb to stay alive in this, the 87th running of the Waterloo Handicap.
Going to a part of the green which they've not visited before. Brilliant lead again. Just about 14 inches past the jack. Very difficult for Brian now.
Thumb peg with the bias bringing it down and being assisted by the slope and Brian Duncan's boulder beauty. And Ken Strutt, I think, signifying that he plans to put some weight in this. The referee has not gone round. And the bowl crunches in just just missing our photographer down at the green side, our cameraman. Which is added to the enjoyment of the audience here. Creep, creep.
One to
Just
Duncan.
one. And Duncan still alive. A little unwell, but he's still alive, Roy.
Yes, very important end for Brian Duncan. Ken had a luxury strike there. He could have played a yard over, but he felt he was so confident and had a good cushion of chalks, he thought he could go. And Brian's playing finger peg down to the pub corner. Just about 2'3" off there, but right in the line of the approach. Good chance.
If it stops, no, I think that's gone out, only by a couple of inches, but I think it's gone out. Brian Duncan is holding. The finger peg, that's what in lawn bowls would be called the forehand delivery. Doesn't want to hit that jack. No. He's in for two. Brian Duncan counting two from what we can see. The bowlers will decide eventually. Chances, if he hits something and stops, yes. Well. Well, there you are. Not a flicker of emotion on the face of Ken Strutt as he accepts that little tiny piece of fat that came his way. Good enough delivery. It was a 50-50 chance that he was going to either dead draw or rest on the bowl. Whatever it was, he gets another single, and he's ahead now, 20-12. So he's all but 12. And Ken Strutt must feel that this will now clinch his place in the semi-final. Close enough. Close enough. Brian Duncan has been bowling from behind for so long, and once again he's got to try and find a magic bowl, and he has.
Taking a long time now, Hugh, wondering whether he should strike or whether he should just play 2 foot through and run that jack. He's going the other way. He's going finger peg. I think he's on the low side.
Get all of it.
Well out. So Brian Duncan is still alive in this year's Waterloo Handicap. Counting one, and is awfully close to getting two.
One to Duncan.
No, didn't quite make the journey. Tell you what though, Roy, it's asking an awful lot of Brian Duncan, great man that he is and great events that he has won, to score 8 in a row now against Ken Strutt.
Yes, he won't have given it up yet. He feels that he'll feel if he can get another 3 chalks, he'll begin to put pressure on Ken. But the way Ken Strutt, the main thing is the way Ken Strutt's playing. He's not sending any rambling balls. He's just playing a yard over or playing a length. But Brian's got a good ball here. But really, it's a good bad one, isn't it? It's just at the side.
Yeah. That makes a bit of a target for Ken Strutt. He can rest on that bowl, so that he can afford to go with a little bit extra weight. In with a chance. In with a chance. Got it. Well, Brian playing with extra weight now. The game's against him. It's all over. He turns his back on it. The handshake.
One to Strutt.
And Ken Strutt takes the single that takes him through into the semi-final, 21-13. That is quite brilliant. That's as good as Ken Strutt has bowled this season. Well, Brian Duncan picks his bowls up, packs them away in his bag, and thinks about next year now. But Ken Strutt must believe that he's going through all the way this time after his disappointment of 1982 when he lost in the final. Ken Strutt down there now. We'll be talking in a moment with Brian Brett.
So a major surprise then here at the Waterloo in Blackpool. Brian Duncan, the 5 times former champion, is out, and it's Ken Strutt who goes through to the semi-final. So what else is there to happen? Lots of drama obviously on the agenda here in Blackpool on this glorious September day. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. For the 5 times former champion here at the Waterloo, Brian Duncan, surprisingly beaten by Ken Strutt. Look at those people on the big one. Sooner them than me. They don't know what they're missing, though, because we got some great action here at the Waterloo. We've just seen that second quarter-final. As I said, Brian Duncan is now out. Ken Strutt has gone through. He's talking to Brian Brett.
Yes, and with me out here on the green, the Waterloo green, the man of the moment, the man who's done the virtually unthinkable. He's beaten Brian Duncan, the hot favourite. Congratulations, Ken. You're delighted with that?
Yes, played very well there. Just got away at the middle of the game. 9-6 down. Brian just didn't lead quite as well in the corners, and just managed to find the middle there and play a few close ones.
Any nerves? You always like the quiet man. Have you got a few nerves in there?
Not really, no. I just play one game as it comes, and yeah. No.
You may have had a bit of a game plan, you may not, because I thought you played your own game, but you took into account the strong points of Duncan's game. Well,
that was the plan, just to keep him out of these 2 corners that he likes playing, you see, really.
But when you played these corners, you played them well.
Yes, well, he gave me a bit of room. That was the difference.
Well, I think you're just devaluing a little bit the form that you showed, Ken, because I know you were superb yesterday, and I know daughter Debbie's here and enjoying everything. Well, where's son Paul?
Oh, he's in Italy, and with a bit of luck, you could be watching this.
We're all watching this. Back to David Bobin.
Thanks very much indeed. Well, John Bancroft, a former champion here at the Waterloo, is watching that match with me. We suspected possibly that there was a way that Mr. Duncan could be beaten, and Ken found it.
Yeah, it was a flawless performance actually from Ken. That's as good a performance that I've seen on the Waterloo for quite some time, really. He played those 35-yard marks across the crown, which are difficult marks to put balls near, and he led every time a ball somewhere near the jack, a foot, 18 inches, or inside that sometimes. Always under pressure, Brian.
Hugh Johns made the point during that match that this possibly could be Ken's year. I mean, as you said earlier, he played in one of the greatest matches ever. Do you think maybe 1995 will be his year?
Well, he'd be a popular winner. As I say, he has gone down in history as one of the unluckiest men never to win the Waterloo with the final with the great Dennis Mercer in '82. Only time will tell, really. He's got a tough match now with Bob Crawshaw in the next semi-final.
But certainly with Duncan out, everything is wide open.
Well, all the people who back Duncan now will be faffing about now down there at the bookmakers, seeing who else they can go and back now. I mean, there'll be panic stations now. All the bookmakers will be all going out getting drunk at dinner time. They'll all be absolutely delighted, the bookmakers.
John, thank you for that. Let's move on now to our next quarter-final. It's Jeff Telford against David Thornley. Let's look first of all at Jeff Telford's record. And there it is. He plays for the Sale Excelsior Club. His best ever performance was making it to the last 64. Just 20 county appearances, so obviously you'd expect, I guess, on that record, John, that Jeff is the underdog in this particular one.
Well, it's a pretty close one to call, actually. The 2 up-and-coming young players. Remember, David is a little bit younger than Jeff, but Jeff is just starting to make his way on the handicap circuit, really. He was unlucky last week in a tournament in the Isle of Man, lost in the quarter-final, and probably, in his own mind, feels he probably should have won it. He's a bit of a stylish Jeff. He's got a lovely action. He's a nice lad, and he possibly does suffer from a little bit of nerves. He's a little bit laid back in some respects. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes on.
Right, let's take a check on David Thornley and his record and the statistics. As John was saying, not a lot really to choose between these 2 up-and-coming players. He's 22, David Thornley. He plays for Nimble Look. His best here at the Waterloo in the last 32. 4 years ago, just the 11 appearances for his county. And the bookies' odd would suggest that, what, 10-1 against both these players, they couldn't really make their minds up, John.
No, it was pretty nip and tuck down with the bookmakers. I've picked David as my fancy for the bottom half, solely because he's been playing the green very well. I know he likes the green. He's playing with a lot of form and confidence at the moment. And he doesn't seem to get upset with anything. Nothing seems to bother him. He's very composed on the green.
Excellent. Well, the crowd here are waiting for the players to make their appearance. Let's not delay that any longer. It's Jeff Telford against David Thornley.
Ladies and gentlemen, the third of the quarterfinals. I'm playing in the red shirt, Jeff Telford. I'm playing in the blue shirt, David Thornley. Over to referee John Gertry to start the game.
John Gertry turns the coin over, and it's Jeff Telford who has won the toss. The game of crown bowls always starts from the entrance, which is halfway down one side of the green. Here it's in the area of the north stand, but once the first mark has been set, then the bowlers go walkabout and can put the block anywhere they like. Telford, 29 years old, and his opponent David Thornley, 22. The both of them starting their bowling life very young. And Jeff Telford, decorator by profession. What was it, 3 years ago, 1982, 13 years ago, won the Cheshire Junior Merit. His twin brother Chris won it the following year. Thornley on the road, all about weight. Now it's wait and see. Looks like a blue ball counting.
One.
David Thornley on the board. .65. Just a small reminder, if you weren't with us earlier, that this being a handicap, bowlers start with 5 chalks on the board and go up as far as 21 to win it. Telford, a Greater Manchester County player, as indeed is David Thornley. Thornley from Chatterton, near Oldham. Jeff Telford from Sale. Chatterton, Oldham, the area that Ken Strutt is known very well in. Brian, he certainly looked pretty happy down there for a change. He nearly smiled, didn't he, Ken Strutt?
There was a hint, wasn't there? I think he was looking at the bookies here and thinking, hey, I'll just save them a packet. But these two lads, you know, are in the same sort of young bracket of bowls, north and south of the city of Manchester. Thornley, a very fit lad. He's the one who whizzes round on a mountain bike, although he's not going to need that today.
Yes, they've something, I suppose, in common with Jeff Telford, a decorator, and David Thornley, a graphic designer, or at least a student studying graphic design. So let's see if they can paint some pictures for us here.
Run away.
Thumb peg. Thumb peg, which is the backhand approach to the jack, or the block. Get past, no, he hit. It's a big lad, this Jeff Telford. Must be what, 6?
Yes.
6'1", 6'2"?
His brother's same, of course, a twin. And there's a
They
third
often
brother.
are, Brian.
Yeah,
they
they
often
are. Twins are often. They are. I can't tell them apart, I tell you. I suppose we've got the right one.
Oh! Hey, is that block going to stay on? Yes. Tell you what, that is a winning bowl, because if you get past it, I suspect you'll go straight into the ditch. That's gone. Yeah, the weight
Telford,
to reach the block
1.
had to be a ditch-bound bowl.
Comes from a hard school, doesn't he, Mr. Telford?
Yes.
Sale Excelsior Club, Roy Armstrong, a member there, of course. They've got some outstanding players, and they've just had a tremendous season. Like 3 top team events, 7 trophies they won over there, Hugh, as a team.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's hard getting into the team.
They are certainly one of the outstanding teams.
Team of the year, I would say,
Crown
in
Bowl.
Crown Green, yeah.
Yes.
Now, Nimble Nook, where David Thornley plays.
It's a marvellous name, isn't it?
Nimble Nook. Not a lot nimble about these lads.
Hey, the road is good. The road is good. And the weight is nearly perfect. What's that, 8 inches, 9 inches past the block? That is a bowl to beat. Let's see what Jeff is doing. His road is very good again. Touch it? No. Thornley holding 1, and plenty of room to draw in for 2. Woo, woo. No, he only counts the 1.
Thornley, 1.
So, level. 7 each apiece, and for £1.50. The cue is there. The cue is there. Feed the inner man or the inner woman, potter back and see some top-class bowls.
Not me.
Oh, well.
Beer and bowls and betting.
Beer, bowls and betting.
You could easily get led astray in this game. It's thirsty work. You know, in the war they applied for a license here to sell beer when it was restricted, and the magistrate refused. He said, I can hardly see selling beer to Crown Green bowlers as helping the war effort. Anything goes now.
Well bowled, Jeff Telford. David Thornley needs to hit. No. The weight was so heavy that if he knew he would go past if he didn't make contact with the block. Don't think that's going to arrive.
Telford, 1.
But his first one was good enough. (8-7). Jeff Telford leading. Some of this audience has gone off to have their lunch in preparation for the afternoon sessions, but many of them are lunching here at the greenside. Sunny Blackpool. What, about 7 or 8 minutes to 12 on a lovely Thursday morning. And always something for them to talk about, whether they're criticizing bad bowls or enjoying good bowls. And the crowd down there already saying yes, yes, yes. They read the game well down there.
They tip them early, Hugh, don't they?
Yes.
Right off the crown they start shouting. Mind you, they need to be happy, those bookmakers down there, because they've saved that much money this week. Mr. Duncan departing.
I think that's the winner coming in. It is.
Thornley, 1.
Well, one more each, they'll be level. 8 each piece all round. And this is interesting. David Thornley trying a block which will have the bowl travelling parallel with the ditch. And here it's a curly mark, thumb peg, and the slope and bias work together at the back end of the travel. That is, the bias is towards the ditch, and the slope helps that bias then bring the bowl down. But neither of them found the right road with their first deliveries. That still looks a little bit narrow, David Thornley. Close enough to be counting at the moment, but I would have a small bet that Telford will be closer.
I'll take that bet.
I'm a loser.
Thornley, 1.
Well, he's a bit fortunate there, I think, David Thornley. He set a block and didn't really put it all together then.
I thought he might have just looked to the corner, but not for long here. He's just shortening the game.
Yes, what's this, about 25?
Yes. It's a funny mark, this one. They don't often play this one.
It's neither one thing nor t'other, is it?
Might catch him, yeah.
Come on,
Pace will catch him.
Ben now. Through by about 6 or 8 inches on a length, but the closest of the two on the green. This looks better. Come on, run a bit more. Just about won it, I would think. No. David Thornley had a look and said that the red bowl is on.
It's turned over.
Turned his bowl over and doesn't want to. Oh, a little bit of damage, I think.
Yes.
Yes, he's knocked the blue bowl
Telford,
in.
1.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Well, the body language said that he knocked the bowl in.
I thought so.
But no, Telford scored. So once again, 9-9 the score. And there's very little to choose between these two young bowlers. Telford's certainly gone on a long walk to see the final of that bowl. Needs to bend now and keep running. No, pulled up short. Well, that's a much tighter line. Can it hold that line? Oh, weight-wise, he was all right, but now Thornley. Is he counting? Is he counting? Is he counting? Well, who's got it? Two bowlers have to decide, deliberate on it.
Telford, 1.
Telford gets 1, and he goes in front. 10-9.
Well, sadly, that's where we have to leave the action from Blackpool here at the Waterloo. But don't worry, we will, of course, bring you the result of this quarter-final and, indeed, the best of this afternoon's semi-finals and the final itself. We're back at 8 o'clock tonight. It's golf next, though, from Collingtree Park, the British Masters. We're back at 8 o'clock tonight with the highlights and the best of the action from the Waterloo. Welcome to Blackpool, this famous Lancashire seaside resort, home to the big one, the Big Dipper, which, along with the Blackpool Tower, dominates the skyline around here, and very much a roller coaster ride for our 8 quarter-finalists earlier in the day. Yes, welcome to our coverage of the Waterloo Greenall's 87th final here. Crown Green Bowls, of course, we're talking, and really what a day it's been. And the big shock, of course, earlier in the day, the defeat of the 5 times former champion, Brian Duncan. Now, he was odds-on to win his particular heat, but it wasn't to be, and really the crowd here couldn't believe what they were seeing. The bookies couldn't either. I suspect it might have been quite an expensive day for them. But of course his defeat meant that the quarter-finals results look like this. Derek Ripley going down to Robert Crawshaw. Ken Strutt, the man who beat Brian Duncan 21-13. Jeff Telford going through at the expense of David Thornley. And then in the 4th quarter-final, Joe Bradbury, who won this title back in 1971, very tight match this, beating Alan Thompson 21-19, and in the end it all came down to a measure. There we are, and you can see the measure going, well, in the end, of course, it did go to Joe Bradbury, and what a moment of drama for him. As I say, he won this title 24 years ago, and that was another moment of drama, which meant that the semi-finals lineup for this Waterloo handicap looks like this. Robert Crawshaw against Ken Strutt, the man who beat Brian Duncan, and Jeff Telford up against Joe Bradbury. Well, with me is John Bancroft, a man who knows all about what it takes to win this particular event. He was the champion here 5 years ago. John, it's really been quite a day, and we saw some really extraordinary Crown Green Bowls.
Yeah, the performance from Ken Strutt was phenomenal. It's one of the best performances I've seen on this green for quite some time. That tremendous. What sort of surprise was it to you to see Brian lose the way that he did? Well, like anybody else, Brian isn't infallible, and he's not unbeatable. But what was surprising was the manner of the victory for Ken. Really, it was so convincing. Brian looked very much out of sorts, which on this green, which is his best and his favourite green, is so unusual. But in a way, that defeat of the red-hot favourite opens the thing wide up, and really, the crowd here, they would have wanted that. Oh yeah, from a spectating point of view now, and from the bookmakers' point of view, they'll be delighted. Brian Duncan removed from the handicap. As you say, wide open. It's nip and tuck, really. Both semi-finals are both really close to call. Right, well, let's take a look at the lineup for the first of those 2 semi-finals. Robert Crawshaw, of course, against Ken Strutt, the man that beat Brian Duncan. Robert Crawshaw, just to check on his record, 36 years of age, Wilmslow and Sale Excelsior, his club. Runner-up here in 1993, a semi-finalist back in 1990, and 30 appearances for his county. John, your thoughts on his chances in this semi? Well, it's going to be an interesting game, him and Ken, because they both play very similar marks. They're both looking to play 30, 35 yards on swinging marks across the crown. They'll both be avoiding the corners to start with. It'll be interesting to see which one of them actually weakens first mentally and does go for the corners. Whoever's behind at that stage is going to go for the corners first. Yeah, let's take a check on Ken Strutt, on his record. And here we can see 57 years of age, the older man, Georgian Dragon, Friesland, his club. Finalist back in 82, playing in one of the most memorable matches ever in Crown Green Bowls, of course, and 72 appearances for his county. And we said, John, earlier, didn't we, that Ken had featured in that extraordinary match back in 82. We just felt perhaps this is going to be his year. Well, he's been knocking the door for such a long time in this handicap. He's got through to the final stages so many times. If he does get to the final, I'm sure he'd be looking to put the record straight for 82. So where would your prediction go then? Well, I think I'll just go for Crawshaw for the simple reason that I think it's virtually been impossible for Ken to play that well again. He played so well. I've just got a feeling he might have just peaked in that quarter-final match. We'll soon find out. John, I know you've got to go off and share the commentary duties now with Hugh Johns.
Robert Crawshaw leading out the first jack of this semi-final. A little short curly mark. Now Ken Strutt, the destroyer of Brian Duncan, was on song in the quarterfinal and looks to be on course again here in the semi. His first bowl will have given him a lot of satisfaction. That promotion job has solidified the one that Strutt already held. Turns the bowl over, comes in on the other hand. Not good enough to count two, but Ken Strutt is on the board. And on the board, it will show that he's scored 6. But in actual fact, that's because he has already got his 5 start. All the bowlers have a 5 start in this tournament. John Bancroft alongside me. Where would your money be on this one, John?
Well, I've just hit Robert, really, but it's only by a hair's breadth, really. It's very close to call, this.
I wonder what the bookies are doing down there. There's been a lot of activity in the lunchtime break. Oh, what a lead ball.
So far, he's taken off. Started where he left off against Brian in the quarter-final.
Yes. Roberts on a good road. Didn't have the motive power to improve on what was a very good delivery. Ken heavier this time. I wonder if he might be anticipating a little bit of weight from Robert. Very, very tight line. If he holds it, he's got a great bowl here.
Strutt, 1.
Not good enough to deny Ken Strutt. So another single. 7-5. Ken Strutt leads. Come on, Ken. On that. Oh, there are the odds. Yes. Well, you can't seem to see that the bookies are happy at all about what you're offering on Crawshaw and Strutt. Name a price and haggle with the bookies.
I think they're a bit confused themselves. I don't know which way they want to come down on this one.
Ken with about a yard of extra travel to do. A little bit jammy, but
One that last ball.
doesn't matter how you get them as long as you get them. See that? Just a little touch off. Pick it up. Well bowled, Robert Crawshaw. Well bowled indeed.
Crawshaw, 1.
So, Robert Crawshaw, his first single of the match.
That was a smashing ball from Robert there. He's reached up and hit the jack, full contact. Beautiful ball, that.
Robert Crawshaw, a bowls manufacturer by trade, bowls turner, takes very old wooden bowls and then renovates them, shaves a little off here, a little off there. The pair he's playing with, he actually made himself. Weeks and weeks of toil and careful varnishing and polishing, revarnishing, repolishing to get exactly the bowl that he wants. Fine ball, Ken Strutt. Both these bowlers, of course, have had some little success in lawn bowls, the flat green game. Particularly this chap, Robert Crawshaw, was in the runner-up in the England triples at Brighton back in '87 with Gordon Niven. Crawshaw was playing second and Noel Burrows was skipping. And we have the first sprinkling of rain here in Blackpool, which has done nothing to dampen the enthusiasm of the audience around the green. Wow. big rah-rah for the referee, John Geraghty, who held up 2 red discs and bravely announced that blue had got 2. Forgot which pocket he'd put them in. And they do let you know every time you make a mistake here at the Waterloo, John.
Oh yeah, you don't get away with anything here. It's woken the crowd up after the lunch, that one.
So that too gives a 9-6 advantage to Ken Strutt.
He's just changed his tactics a little bit here, Ken. He's gone a little bit further this time. He's gone about 45 yards across the crown, not right into the corners, what would class as a 3/4 corner mark.
Gentle run now, stop. Beautiful. It's remarkable when you think about it. I'm sure lawn bowlers looking at this would say, oh, that's dead easy, this green, absolutely dead flat picture that we have from above. When you get right down there, there's a big plateau in the middle, the crown, about 11-12 inches high, and all kinds of different surfaces around the green, some uphill, some downhill. And to get a ball to go that far, and conquer all that lies between the mat and the block, well, it really is brilliant. Crawshaw asked and is told that he's 2 down on this end at this moment. This will change things. This could change. No, out. Bias wasn't allowed to work. And a big roar for the referee because he held up the right colour lollipops that time. It is indeed 2 for blue, 2 for Strutt, and he picked the right ones. So it's 11-6 to Ken Strutt. Well, your choice has got to start putting his act together, John.
Yes, at the moment, Ken's playing really well. He's leading his first ball close to the jack every time. He's putting Robert under pressure. And at the moment, Robert can't come up with the answers. And he's here again. He's played another excellent lead.
Yes, it is. Lawn bowlers will tell you that the 2-bowl game is a bit of a killer. Even more so in this crown game. If you don't get the first one close, you're giving your opponent tremendous opportunity to step in. Trickle, trickle, trickle. Might be counting 2, it's difficult to tell. Crawshaw. I think this could be it. Could it? No. Beautiful road, but lacked a yard.
Strutt, 1.
Ken Strutt just 1. 12-6. Ken Strutt. And a little trickle of rain here at the moment. I'm wondering what effect that may have on the game. Roy Armstrong down by the green side. What's it doing to the surface?
Yes, I was having a chat with Robert Crawshaw when he was practicing just prior to the commencement of the game, and he said there's no doubt the green is a lot slower with this cloud cover and these few specks of rain. It's definitely gone 2 yards slower, and I think it's affected his game. The players will have to bear that in mind and make sure that they just push up, especially on these marks about 45 yards.
Thank you, Roy. It's a great change from the weather we had this morning when it was real Blackpool summer weather. Well now, Crawshaw. Well done. He's made the right correction. Strutt certainly isn't going to be short with this. Well, it's taken a tram down the promenade. Crawshaw holding 1. Looking for 2. Oh, he didn't want to do that. It hasn't done any damage.
Crawshaw, 2.
Yes, he's got the 2.
He needed those badly, those 2 chalks, because Ken Strutt's not a man to let a lead go. He's a very dour character on the bowling green. He fights hard for every chalk, and once he gets in front, he's a very, very hard man to peg back.
Robert, like so many of the other Crown bowlers who've reached this final stage of the tournament, knowing the Waterloo green pretty well, been here before. Not necessarily in this tournament, although Robert certainly has. He's a semi-finalist 5 years ago. And Ken Strutt, a very unlucky loser in the final of 1982. Crawshaw needs to be careful here and not offer a wider target to Ken Strutt. Well, now that will go. Ken Strutt will absolutely, definitely have a bang at that.
Watch your feet, please.
There'll be timber flying all over the place now. He surely can't miss that target. 2 balls and a jack wide. Stand by. Dead end. Jack in the ditch. That killed it.
Yeah, that was a good strike from Ken, but he's renowned as one of the better strikers in the game. He doesn't strike as hard as a lot of players, but he's generally very accurate, and on such a short mark, about 25 yards, it'd have been very surprising for him to miss such a big target. But it'll be very disheartening for Rob, really. He's scored 2 at the last end. He was lying 2 more to come within 2 chalks at 10-12, and to get them knocked off, well, I'm sure it will be a little bit of a blow for him, that.
And of course, no points are put on the score sheet. In fact, that end that we've just seen doesn't appear on the scorecard at all. It was dead. The game restarts with the block being brought back from the ditch 1 meter from the point that it went out, and the mat is put down there, and the game restarts from that point with the original leader setting the mark.
Now Roberts changed his tactics a little bit here. He's gone further on this particular mark, about 40 yards possibly, than he's gone all day, really. I'm sure the strike of Ken Strutt's has had something to do with that. He's possibly thinking, well, if he puts one somewhere near the jack, Ken's just going to go and knock it off anyway. So he's lengthened the mark a little bit, and so far it's been successful because he's got Ken playing short.
Yes. Robert chasing after that ball, wanting to see it arrive from the backhand or thumb peg delivery. Looks a bit tight. It's holding. It's holding. It's dead right. Yes. Well, there is a smile on the face of the man from Diggle. Gracious me, that should be captured for posterity. But he's entitled to smile at that, isn't he? That was a cracking ball.
Yeah, it was a good adjustment, that. He was 4 foot short with his lead ball, and he's put the 4 feet in, dead length, second ball. Excellent.
13-8, Ken Strutt in front. 13, unlucky for some. So he would be delighted if he can get at least a single from this block.
Now he's coming a finger peg mark about 30 yards toward the cop stand, and it's one of his favourite marks on the green, this, and he nearly always leads a good ball here, and he's done it again.
Interestingly enough, John, I think their styles of the length that they like to deliver is very similar for these two bowlers.
Yes, they are similar. They both generally like to play about 35 yards across the crown, really. Neither of them tend to go in the full corners unless they get in trouble. Early on in the game, Ken tried 1 or 2 in the corners and had a little bit of success, but he's reverted back to his usual game now. Possibly at 13-8 in front, he feels he can start commanding the game and play the length that he wants to play now.
Well, it's a cracking ball. He turned his ball over for that one. So that was 1 finger peg, 1 thumb peg. And 2 beautiful bowls. This is going to be close. This is going to be very, very close. Well, now, I would say the red bowl has probably won it. Oh, Strutt thinks he has won it. And he has. Gosh. Ah, that must have been very, very tight.
That's an unlucky ball, that, from Robert there. He's just touched the jack just an inch or 2 too far. He was barely anything overplayed there. He's been a little bit unlucky there. It was a good ball, that.
Yes, look at that. Maybe 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. On such things are championships won and lost. In this case, Ken gets another one. 14-8 he is. And again, a little curly mark here. Almost a round peg. In fact, it is a round peg mark. Finger peg with the slope assisting the bias, and you couldn't have a more exquisite little delivery than that.
Now he's gone to the fastest part of the green just there, and he's probably trying to get Robert playing too far with this, but I'd be surprised if Robert does fall for it.
If he holds that line, he's going to be close. No, it fell off. Ken pushing that one up, saying to the bowl, turn left now. And Robert is going to put a little weight on, is he? Well, he's asking for information, for geography. Ken thinks he's holding 2. So Robert trying to draw in. It's going to be a wonder bowl if it scores here, but most he can hope for is to save one.
Strutt, 1.
Yes, he has saved one. And I'm afraid Robert Crawshaw, who was highly fancied by my co-commentator John Bancroft, amongst many others of this 3,500 crowd here, is in a bit of bother with Ken Strutt right now. Just wondering how he can possibly get out of it, John.
Well, at the moment, Ken's leading so well. He's putting Robert under pressure. The last couple of ends, Robert has actually started sticking hold of his bowls a little bit, which generally is a sign of starting to feel the pressure. So obviously, he's beginning to feel the effects of the occasion.
Well, Ken Strutt is singing in the rain out there at the moment. I mean, there's no hold of him.
No, and he's employed a slightly different tactic again here. He's switching it about. He's changed from a 28-yard mark. He's gone now about 40 yards. Not right into the corners, but a little bit further than he was. He's trying to break Robert's length up by swapping and changing the game around.
Oh, unlucky Robert Crawshaw. Dead unlucky.
And this is always the way when you're behind, you never get any rubs.
Deserved better from that bowl. It's short, but I think he may very well have closed the road up. Not going to be that much easier for Robert to thread his way through. Really chasing after that one. Little bit more, little bit more, little bit more. Yes!
Crawshaw, 1.
Well done, Robert Crawshaw. Now, I wonder if this could be a turning point.
That's a smashing ball, that. He's just crawled inside that ball and fallen in. Lovely ball. That's the sort of thing you need to produce when you're a few behind. Just give yourself a little bit of confidence.
Well, 6 points down. And you can see from that marvellous overhead picture where the block is going. Going over towards the west stand, in the sort of apex between the west stand and the north stand, as we look at them.
It's a very difficult mark, this, where Robert's gone now. He's gone finger peck. It's very fast finishing. The ball's trittle on and on past the jack there, as Robert's ball's just done. And if you can play a ball within 18 inches 2 foot, 9 times out of 10 you'd count it on this mark.
Now, what happens now? Well, this fellow really is swinging. Easy, easy, easy. Ken's on for another here, I think. No, it's pulled up. No, he was aware of the speed of the green that you were talking about, John, and didn't quite put quite enough on.
No, well, he's in a position of commanding the game. He was 15-9 in front. There was no reason for him to do anything silly and reach up and knock the jack to Robert. Robert's the man who's got to make all the running and take all the chances at the moment.
Get him in singles. 16-9. Close enough to be a pressure bowl, but one that Robert ought to be able to beat. Dropped away underneath. Yes. Robert with 2 against him at this moment, and oh, that's not going to do anything for him. Oh dear. And the crowd certainly let him know it.
Strutt, 2.
2 for Ken Strutt. He is walking away with this semi-final. 18-9. 3 to go for Ken Strutt. Well, now I wonder if... Oh, he's trying out his finger peg action. Gosh, he could be on this green 10, 12 years' time.
He looked very happy. I think he must have backstruck.
Well, 3 or 4 years' time, he'll be playing. You can bet on it. Bowlers both in crown and flat these days, starting off at 6, 7, 8 years old. And that little boy is enjoying what he's seeing here, as indeed is this vast audience around here at the Waterloo. Finals day at the Waterloo, the big occasion in this so competitive game, which is so much part of life in the northern part of England and the northern part of Wales, of course. Ken taking plenty of time over what he's doing out there. He's not being hurried one tiny bit into anything. He's got these things on a little bit of string, John.
He's playing fantastic. He's just carried on where he's left off against Duncan in the quarter-final. It's an impressive display of bowling at the moment.
Yes, if you missed that quarter-final by any chance, he took the great man out 21-13, destroyed him with 4 doubles in the middle of that game. And there's another one in this game for Ken Strutt.
As always happens when one particular player keeps putting bowls near the jack end after end, the other guy starts to lose his length, and that's what happened in Robert's case. Now he's slowly, the pressure has built up, and he's gone so many ends without having the jack in his hand that you do lose your length. He's played 2 bowls there, one 4 foot too far and one 4 foot short.
Well, I'm afraid it's curtain down time for Robert Crawshaw. His mountain to climb now. Oh, Lord love us. Ken Strutt's done it again. Well, I wonder if he's used it all up before the final, because the final is surely where he's going. The score is at 20 for Ken Strutt, 9 for Crawshaw. Ken Strutt needs one. That one is sitting out there on the block at the moment.
Robert will be disappointed with that bowl. He's gone and placed it right in his own way there for his second bowl. Ken's got one on the jack, and Robert's done the absolute criminal thing really there. He's most disappointed with himself and going to put one in the way, and Ken's going to put another by the side of it.
He says, all right, if you want to have a bang, try and get past those two. This bowl to stay alive in the 1995 Waterloo Handicap. It's all over. Ken Strutt has won it. 21-9. He took out.
Oh, look, Bob.
He took out Brian Duncan, and now he's taken out Robert Crawshaw.
So the experience of Ken Strutt, seeing him safely through to our final. He beats Robert Crawshaw. The other semi-final, Jeff Telford against Joe Bradbury, coming up in a couple of minutes. But for the moment, Ken Strutt enjoying his big day here at the Waterloo. A capacity crowd here at the Waterloo in Blackpool, enjoying some top quality crown green bowling, and Ken Strutt has confirmed his place in the final here, the 1995 Greenalls event, and really a good performance it was from him. He's now waiting down by the green to talk to Roy Anson.
Well, Ken, you did very well there. You're back in the final for the first time after a gap of 13 years.
Yes, it's a long time. We've been waiting for it.
What did you find the green like? Were the conditions much changed?
Oh no, the green's in very good order. It's nice to play on.
Was it a little bit slower?
It is. The grass has just started to grow again.
Right. So you're going to be in the final now. Have you any? You think you can do it after that gap?
Well, got to give it a try. Got to give it a try. Yeah, but playing well enough, so just confidence.
You must be happy with the game you've just played. That must be one of your best performances on this green.
Yes, because Bob played very well early doors, and I just happened to knock 2 off in this corner, stop him getting close, and played well after that.
Thanks, Ken. Well, that's our first player into the final, David.
Thanks very much indeed. And John Bancroft has been following progress of today's events, and your thoughts briefly on Ken's performance?
Oh, fantastic again. He's just awesome today. There's no other word for it. I mean, every bowl, every lead, right by the side of the jack. He's putting the other fellow under so much pressure all the time. Robert couldn't really cope with it.
He seems to have dropped into a good tempo, a good rhythm, and people need to start to sort of unsettle him, don't they?
Yes, really. The only way to shake Ken when he's in this sort of mood is to probably try and get in front early on, try and dictate the play and play your length and break his length up, which is the best way to do that is to play him in the corners, really. You wouldn't say Ken is weak in the corners, but that isn't his strength, and that's where, whether it be Jeff, Telford, or the other semi-finalists, you need to play him.
Yeah, and really on this form, Ken Strutt is looking pretty good in the final, isn't he?
Well, on form today so far, I can't see anyone touching him, but
no.
a different game, who knows what's going to happen.
Well, now let's find out who he'll be playing in that other semi-final. It's Jeff Telford against Joe Bradbury. Take a quick check on their form. And Jeff Telford, first of all, let's deal with him. Young man from Sale Excelsior Club. As we've seen before, his best in the last 64 here at Waterloo, and just 20 county appearances. And John, Jeff so far has impressed you, has he, with what he's achieved here?
Yes, Jeff's a rapidly improving player, really. He's been around a few years, but it's only in the last 2 or 3 years that he started entering the major competitions, and he's done well so far, and I would make him just slight favourite to beat Joe.
Yeah, but Joe, of course, provided a surprise in the quarter-finals, didn't he?
Well, it's as though Joe's been given a new lease of life this week. He's smiling, laughing, joking with the crowd. He's after the bowls. He's having a bit of banter. And I think he's quite determined to make up for the 24-year gap. Yeah, well, talking of that, let's just look at Joe Bradbury's record, and we can see quite clearly that this man has got some form, because although he's now 64, he has got a new lease of life, and of course he won this event 24 years ago, back in 1971. And what a performance he put up earlier. I just wonder, as you do, John, whether or not he can keep that going. Well, I was talking to him earlier. He's not made to the final day of this competition since the year he won it in 1971.
Has he not?
So he says, I've been close so many times and never just made this final day. So I think he's pleased to be here, but he's still got that determination to go that little bit further. We shall see in time whether he can just keep this relaxed, easy-going, the new Joe Bradbury, if you like, in this semi-final.
And the crowd here have really taken to him. They love the way he upset the odds in the quarters.
Well, they love a character as well. Anyone who sort of reacts to their shouting and getting involved, they love it. So they'll take to Joe in this semi-final.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to that other semi-final, because here in Blackpool there's lots of good crown green bowls still to come. For the moment, though, that's the view we've got looking out across the landscape here to the famous Blackpool Tower. We'll see you in a couple of minutes from now. So welcome back to the Waterloo in Blackpool. We're all set then for our second semi-final. Remember, it's Jeff Telford against Joe Bradbury. We're all set to go now. Let's join our commentary team, who are Brian Brett and Roy Armstrong. But first of all, our master of ceremonies to bring the players onto the green, Jim Howarth.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second semi-final. Playing in the red shirt, Jeff Telford. And playing in the blue shirt, Joe Bradley. Thank you, Owen. If you'll start the game, please.
Tails, your block. Joe.
Yes, referee Alwyn Owen gives it his tails, and that means the veteran Joe Bradbury, at the age of 64, sets the second semi-final into motion, aiming for a final place after a gap of, what, 24 years, and picks a corner straight away. But knowing Joe, we're going to have a little trip around the green, like a tour of the Blackpool illuminations. And Joe is lit up today. Look at this lead. He needs to hit the jack or go through. Yeah. Jeff Telford really hasn't been playing at this level before. May find it a bit of an ordeal, but he's a hardy type. He may just relish this challenge. Look at the lead, look at the response, and the crowd love it. Excellent ball. Joe Bradbury, who he actually won the National Veterans title 3 years out of 4, and I think Roy Armstrong might just have been you won it the 4th.
Yes, that was the 1 year that I won that title. I prefer to call it the Senior Players Tour.
The young veterans. Potential veterans, right. Joe Bradbury. One against him at the moment. Jeff Telford powers across this green, looking for a second, hoping he's got it just right to stop about now. Preferably, yes.
2 to Telford.
2 to the red of Jeff Telford, which means, in fact, while he's only scored 2, he does lead 7-5, because we have the 5 already on the board as a handicap. This is a massive handicap, starting on 5 in games of 21 up, so they need to add 16 chalks to that advantage. Stretches back to the old professional days when you were punished 2 chalks, maybe even more if they were particularly outstanding players. Look at this lead from Telford. Excellent. One of the ways, Roy, they used to find of getting around that handicap, you know, the professionals in the really old days, they used to play under assumed names. There was a chap called J.W. Witter, one in 1938, and he played under the name of Jackie Ray, R-E-A-Y.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Look at this. This is Joe Bradbury. And this is the applause that rings around the Waterloo for a veteran, and an absolute gem of a bowl, Roy.
What a bowl. A lead of about 9 inches off, and Joe's absolutely perfect, right on the jack. Here's Jeff. He's just a bit narrow with this.
That was all, wasn't it? Yes. Jeff doesn't really want to let this get at him, Roy. He's not got great experience of this, has he?
No, as a matter of fact, this is Jeff's 3rd year with my own club team, the Sale Excelsior, and I've had the opportunity to watch him at close quarters during that time, and I'm certainly very, very impressed with his play. He actually, this year, will be the Award of Merit winner at our club, which is a very high standard. and wants quite a lot of doing. And I do feel that if he was to venture out a little bit more and enter one or two competitions, he would very quickly become one of the big names in the game.
Well, he's here in the semi-final of the Waterloo, in front of a crowd topping 3,000. Scarcely a seat left, as Joe Bradbury just picks his way around this green. Been here before many times. He's not appeared in a finals day since '74, which is surprising me, in the last 64.
Yes, yes indeed. And here's Joe now. He's playing his finger peg just underneath the crown, going down towards the east stand. Got a good lead here.
Yes, it'll call for some response now from Jeff, because you see every end is going to be a bit like Wembley here, because they're going to scrutinise every bowl, every shot, because they're all players, all the crowd play, and they all want to be out there hypercritical. Now then, Joe Bradbury, good first bowl. He's picked the land. He's picked the line, and he looks as though he's picked a bit of a length here. Holds 2. I wonder whether he'll keep himself on a tight rein, Roy, because in his last game he was really buzzing a bit. Now then,
chance.
Unlucky, just brushed one ball, turned away, but let's have a look at this. Has it held its course? Let's just have a look at this. Joe's not so sure. He's had a look. Referee Alwyn Owen has had a look, and this gentleman's about to have a look. Now this is the bowl. Look at it, Roy. It just brushes that.
Yes, it's
bowl and then
just got past. It would be. I'm sure Jeff would be quite pleased if it toppled over. But
by the time they measure it, but it is a measure. It's asking a lot of a man who's never been in this situation before to cope with it all.
Try the red one and be careful, gentlemen.
Yes, he's quite a laid-back character, Jeff. Nothing really bothers him. He just gets on with things. He's a man of very few words, and I think he'll be okay.
Got to ask whether Joe has had his sort of Wembley,
Telford,
whether he can another one there to the red, whether Joe can keep himself in check and repeat the sort of punishment he's dished out already. He's certainly bowled out of his skin, as Joe's got a new lease of life. It's Telford who breaks to the corners first.
Yes, I'm sure this is the way that Jeff sees the game. He sees that he'll break Joe Bradbury's length up by playing in the corners. But of course, to do that, you've got to lead well, and I think he's done that here.
I think he's a good chance here, Roy. He's pulling across all the time. Beautiful ball. It's high-quality bowls. We're not at a slack end. So Joe Bradbury. From Romley, the Stockport area, Cheshire. Looking to run a little bit more and more and more, and done it. Brilliant. They love it. Oh, he's pleased with that.
Once again, Jeff's made a good lead, but Joe's replied, brilliant.
It's a bit soul-destroying, Roy, that, isn't it, for a young man, when he thinks he's sort of, he's done it, he's put the pressure there. Now then, he's got to be far enough. He's got to try and shift that blue ball, because there's not much room to get past it and peg. You can get past it all right, but not peg. So certainly one, Joe Bradbury, an excellent one. And 2 good bowls for Jeff Telford, not counting.
I found the betting quite fascinating for the 4 semi-finalists, actually, Brian. The bookmakers couldn't decide, and to back any of them, any of the 4, you would have had to have laid them 5-4.
Yes.
And both these players are 4-1 for the championship before this game started.
Bradbury again. 2. Oh, it's good stuff.
This is superb bowling, isn't it? You know, he's been fearless. If he'd have touched the jack, he'd have put Jeff in, but contacted his own ball, toppled over, and counted 2. Superb.
I heard you talking to Ken Strutt about the condition of the green, because I just felt it might have gone a shade slower. But Joe's come out on a different green now. That's the point I was going to make, Roy. He's been off the green for a little while.
Yes.
And it's different.
Yes, it is a little bit slower. But of course, as we pointed out, he's vastly experienced, and I think he'll be very well aware of that, making sure that he's reaching all the time.
Well, he's very motivated out there. He started off rather slowly, but I think he's getting into the swing of all of this and loving it. What a lead. He's well pleased. Now we're now talking corners to corner here.
Yes, you're close on 60 yards going down here. This is thump egg right over the centre of the green. And Joe's using his hand. You see he's made Jeff play a little bit wide there, and Jeff's just gone on the narrowed side. And of course he's about 2 yards short with that ball.
That's what spoiled it all, isn't it? Yes, big length. Now this is the view virtually from the footer as it approaches the jack. Has he got the running? Joe certainly got the running. Has the ball got the running? Yes, he's there before it. Holds 2. There's a bit of anxiety in that face. He's enjoying it, but he's anxious. So Jeff Telford, much younger man, getting a bit of a lesson out there. And is he learning from it? Just gone out. Just gone out. Just need to rest on the back ball. Left 2. Back-to-back 2s. Joe Bradbury. And they're seeing some high-quality balls here and thoroughly enjoying it. Not quite the sunshine as early this morning, so they're covered up. Nothing better, top-class bowls. So, 10-8 off the mat. Joe Bradbury, corner to corner. Roy Armstrong, what a terrific mark.
Yes, he's playing. This is Joe's thump egg. He's fearless, Joe. He's not bothered about it being against his hand. He's playing here. He's about 61 yards. He's asking how far the jack's on the green. It's on the green 4 feet. But actually, if he plays anything more than a foot past, it'll go off.
Yes. As it falls away quite dramatically, just beyond the jack. Joe Bradbury taking all that into account, getting that into the old memory bank, and then playing the lead a little like this. Yeah, just a couple of feet short, but that is a good bowl. Jeff Telford. Jeff has only won one of the sort of major tournaments in his bowling career. That was the Victoria at Stockport in 1994 last year. So if he can pick up a major here, my goodness, he's done that in short time. Joe Bradbury he's got a stack of things. He's a veritable who's who of bowling. He's won all sorts in his playing career. So this time just asking for the bowl to perform a little better and just swing away there and try and nudge past, and does. Did exactly as he told it. It's 2 against Jeff Telford at the moment. So he's got to be far enough without putting too much in the running. Now, has this got a chance? Can this find a way through? Can it come? No. Can he save? Can he save? He might just about have saved.
Bradbury!
Yes, just one, Joe Bradbury. Quickly accepted. They will turn around very quickly because Joe is on a roll. 11-8. No reason to change. The hand, the length, the direction, right across this green. Joe Bradbury sets the mark. He's counted at all but 2 of these first 6 ends. Bowl approaches the jack beautifully, superbly, great lead. Jeff Telford responds. Can he learn from this? Just swung away. Doesn't count. Well, it's a tight game. It's an interesting game. Watching it all. Ken Strutt and daughter Debbie. Ken, of course, through to the final. Debbie, an outstanding bowler in her own right. Son Paul away in Italy. Watching it all on Sky Sports, he hopes. Now then, Joe, what have you done with us? Well, he's holding 2, but you have a distinct feeling that Jeff Telford will certainly cut this back. 11-8, the advantage to Joe Bradbury, and holding 2 at this end, unless unless Jeff Telford can get this. I tell you what, if he misses the bowl, he's going a long way. He saved, but he was very, very fortunate.
Bradbury,
He saved another single. Joe Bradbury. And Roy, it's going against the boy now, isn't it?
Yes, he's just struggling actually, especially going in this direction, because Joe's getting the jack in a very, very difficult position. He's getting it a little bit round the corner, right on the spine of the corner there, where the diagonal comes out.
That suits his left hand.
Very much so, yes. And Jeff, it's even difficult going the other way. So it's a very, very good tactical ploy by Joe. He's using all those years of experience, and he's coming back the other way, his thumb peg now. But I think Jeff has a chance coming in this direction. He's got to get in this way, otherwise he's no chance at all.
He's got to get in and break up the rhythm of Joe Bradbury. At 64, he probably never even dreamt he'd get to this stage of a major like the Waterloo again, but there's this lead on it. Is this lead on? It's on all right. It's perfection, isn't it?
Yes, I think when you get to that age, you know, you feel that if you get to this position, it's something that might never ever happen in your time again. So you want to make the maximum of it, and that's what he's doing. Good ball, Jeff.
Good response from Jeff Telford. Last ball that certainly is on. Just want the referee to confirm. Owen, a red disc ball on at the moment. And Joe's was a cracking lead, a super response from Jeff. But Joe again, he's got to do the whole thing all over again, get it right. Never know with Joe whether it's a good bowl or not, because he's very animated, he's all over the place. This is running, could do with hitting the jack, could do with tickling the jack. He's done it!
Absolutely brilliant.
I tell you what, I mean, that was the ideal bowl. You sort of ask and you play for it, but when it happens, Roy, well,
it's one thing to know what to do, and it's another thing doing it.
Doing it. To blue. A blue of Joe Bradbury. What a little run he's on now. Wasn't a good shot this, Roy. It's perfection.
Yes, he made sure of reaching, took the jack through, sat on his own ball, just rocked it, fell over and counted 2. Brilliant.
This is a break of 8 for Joe Bradbury, from 6-8 down to 14-8 ahead. He's thinking about changing it, Roy. No need to, has he?
Oh no, Joe won't change it. It's the placement of the jack that's important. And I think
he's telling me that, before he went on. He made a couple of mistakes in his last game.
Well, he's got it lower down this time.
Going this way, yeah.
He's got it lower down but further, so he's testing Jeff all the time. He's not in the same place. He's about 6 yards further down. This is about 60 yards. Joe's finger peg right underneath the crown. But the important thing here is to not get below the jack. If you get below the jack, it'll hang off all the time.
I'm just hoping that he doesn't try that one up to the crown of the green that never works in his favour. That's not bad. That's in the approach, and it's just short. He's enjoying it. So, Jeff Telford, bowler with the Sale Excelsior Club. He's probably won it, but you have a feeling that it's not going to matter at this stage. Bradbury delivers and he's straight after it. They can run after the bowls. They mustn't get within a metre of a running bowl. He stops well short. He's not sure. He claps his hands. He wants a promotion. Just a little hit for 2 at the moment. He talks to the woods. They all count, holding 2 against Jeff Telford, who very soon, unless he counts, he's going to start thinking everything's against him. 2 they shout, a long way off, and if it is, if this doesn't save, I think not. It's another 2.
Bradbury, 2.
Joe Bradbury. Terrific run. Super run. Break of 10, including 4 doubles. 16-8. I've seen and admired Joe for a long time, Roy, but I've never seen him in this sort of vein for a long time.
No, and if you notice just recently, this last couple of ends, he speeded the game up. And this is the old campaigner doing what all the old campaigners do. That is, when you're chalking, when you're winning, you speed the game up and you put your opponent under more pressure.
He's still got to deliver, and he's delivered, hasn't he? What a beautiful lead. Not a lot that Jeff can do about this, Roy, apart from try desperately.
No, he's forcing him to play up all the time, you
Yeah.
see, and if he's all right if he hits, but if he misses, he's liable to be facing 2 with the second ball.
Yes,
I think he's round about a length with this, just on the bottom side.
Yeah, that was all that was wrong. It might just, if it does peg. No, Joe's still on. He's not bowled badly for very little, Jeff Telford, but he's stretching all the time. He's sort of chasing the game now. 16-8 against him. I mean, we're only now into the 10th end. Joe, have you got it right, son? Stop any time now to hold 2. Maybe not, just 1. He's holding, but Jeff Telford is trying to cut back this lead, just trying to get a run with the jack. Got a bit of travelling. He just doesn't want to hit his own and go out. That's all right.
Bradbury,
That's no danger.
1.
But it's another 1. Joe Bradbury, the run goes on. Joe's on a roll. They're loving it. A lot of applause. It's a very appreciative crowd today, right?
Yes, it's a very pleasing crowd. They're all aficionados, aren't they? I know that when I've played in this championship, you feel that you're surrounded by 3,000 experts, and they very quickly let you know whether you're too far or whether you're short. Here's Joe once again, going back his finger peg, shrug of the shoulders.
And Robert Crawshaw watching it all, thinking, if only. If only. But Ken Strutt said, no, it's my year. So Joe right across the screen. Not sure whether he's got the jack.
He's altered it again, you know, Brian.
Yeah.
Yes, he's brought it 5 yards over to the right-hand side in a very awkward place.
Yeah, I was just going to make that point, right?
Yeah, suitable for Joe's hand, you know. Just round the corner here, he's bringing it in with the left hand. I think he's got a good ball again.
I think so. It's not an easy mark, but he's making this game look easy. See, the applause just rings out again around the green because they know they're seeing an old master at work here. Just turning the clock back. He's waving that one away, actually, of Jeff Telford, because he thinks he's got a bowl here. Just run through. The great thing about the green, Roy, Ken Strutt was telling me, was that players are so confident they can follow the jack. They've just got to put it down and worry only about length.
Yes, they always say about the Waterloo green when it's like this in such good condition that the ball, when you send your ball and you think you've got a good one, it always goes a yard further than you think. And of course, in the past, the Waterloo has made fool of us all. Those are probably Joe's worst 2 balls in the last 5 ends.
Well, he may get away with this. Break is 11, unless... Well, he's flying, isn't he?
He's certain to reach.
He's got to stop. You know, he's left another 1. That makes it a break of 12. Now Jeff, they shout, but poor old Jeff can do very little about this. Terrific run from 8-6 down to 18-8 ahead. Joe Bradbury. And really, it's going to suit him if he can have a quick game now, Roy, and if he can have 5 minutes maybe to gather his all his mental faculties and get himself in shape. We're going to have some final.
Yeah, well, the one thing that you don't want when you're in the last semi-final, you don't want a 21-20 game.
No, and go straight back on.
No, you want a nice cruising game if you can, and Joe's not been under any pressure at all, really. And I'm afraid that what's happening here is we're just seeing that lack of experience that we spoke about at the start of the game.
But I mean, you would call him a club bowler, wouldn't you, at this stage, Jeff, rather than a tournament player?
Oh, certainly.
So a club bowler has got through to the semi-final. It's a great plus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Great credit to him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's daylight there. There's a chance here for Jeff. But Joe, if he's not on a length, he's certainly on a road. Can he get there? Can he edge pass? No, you see, it's given up. It's given up. Give up, I shout. Joe Bradbury. He's actually 65 next month. Might just be getting an early pension if he carries on like this. There's good money at stake now. Joe, what have you done? You're expecting a lot to try and waft that one in and give it the old nudge. No chance. So it's only 1 against. Look at this. Now this, you can't even see the bowl yet, so it comes up over the crown, right on the left-hand side of the picture, but unfortunately it's a non-runner. It's not going to change anything. But that was the challenge they face, and it's another single to the blue. of Joe Bradbury. And at 19.8, he's a double away from a place in the final, which would then make it, Roy, the Georgian Dragon versus... Ken still a member there?
Georgian Dragon versus
The
Georgian
High?
Dragon, yes. Ken is certainly still a member there, yes.
And
He certainly plays some matches for the team, so it would be...
Joe's put himself down. It's going to be a tremendous boost, that, for the Georgian Dragon to
Yes,
have two
indeed.
finalists.
Yeah.
Whereas you did have two Sale Excelsior players.
That's right. We had a possibility.
Yeah, well, Robert, of course, losing.
That's right.
To Ken Strutt.
And now Jeff.
And
yes.
Jeff looking
well, yeah, we
as
must
though he's got
write
not
him
only
off,
a
yeah.
crown, but a mountain to climb,
Yeah.
eh?
He's given him a chance now. He's too low here.
Right, well, thanks, Joe. Oh, they condemned that one. That's about the first loose delivery we've had. And we're into the 13th end of a masterly performance by Joe Bradbury. Thank you, says Jeff. Keeps his nerve. This is when it's a kind crowd, an appreciative crowd. It can be cruel, and not with the underdog, not with the club bowler. They get bags of support. But he's got to put the bowls down. Joe Bradbury. One loose one. He's a big correction. He's got a nice road in. It's a question of length, and I don't think he's quite there. So we're going to go certainly to one end at least. Now then, Jeff Telford, certainly counting one, and it's been a long time since he did that. Yes, yes, they call. They're looking for two. They only got to stop. It is 1 to red at the moment. They will have a look for the second. The geography is a little difficult from our position. Joe has accepted that one as the winner. Has a look at two. I want them pegging, you know. So far, he said not. If Joe fancies...
2 to Telford.
2, yes. Good. 2 to red. My goodness, that stopped a charge, hasn't it? From 8-6 down to 19-8 ahead, and now off the footer, 10-19. It's been done, Roy, hasn't it? It's been done, but not in this competition this year, I don't think.
No, indeed. Well, obviously, Jeff's just got to start leading, and he's trying a different tactic here, playing finger peg as he thinks against the left-hander, right over the centre of the green, to the pub. It's very heavy in this direction. He's about a yard short with that ball.
But it's not bad at all when he's changed the line and the length. And he's got the block and led where he wants, and asked Joe to beat that. And he's not there, you know. He's not there. Right, Jeff, same bowl. Good time for 2. He's kept his style and just stroked the bowls out. He's sort of wobbled around a lot, so he just hasn't been given much chance to get in. And he's going to promote this one. Not quite, but...
He was trying to be too precise there, to be too near to the jack. He should have been certain of missing that ball, putting it 6 inches wider, but that's what happens when you're struggling.
Well, he's still holding one. Joe's got to find his way around this. Not sure whether it will do all of that. He's certainly further. Now it would start pegging and working towards the jacket. Needs to steer away from the bowls. He's not far enough.
1 to Telford.
Another 1 to the red of Jeff Telford. He's still in there fighting. He's enjoying the chat, the crack with the crowd. Get the money on. 11-19 down. That's all. 21 up. Another 2. Joe Bradbury requires for a place in the final. And again, he's finding somewhere new, Roy. He's just swinging it around.
Yes, he's playing round peg right over the centre of the green. This is Jeff's thumb peg, going down to the north stand. And normally this is, once you get down there, this is the faster part of the green. But I don't think this will present a lot of problems to Joe.
No, I think it may well be a nice left-hander's mark, but if he leads well, it won't matter. Go on, got to run, got to run. Not enough, you see, his left room. Left room.
Yes, he's nearly 4 feet off with that ball.
Yes. So there's certainly room for Joe. There's encouragement there for him if he's far enough. I thought his line was tighter. His length might carry him through. And now it will swing towards the jack. Yes. Brilliant. Now how can you beat that, Royal? By getting
can only play for
in
second.
Among them.
Can only play for second.
Try and get it right next time, but it's getting dark. This has got a chance, it's through.
Chance for Joe here now to get game.
Yes, he holds one. He needs two. He needs to put another in now to get to the final of the 1995 Greenall's Waterloo Handicap. Joe Bradbury, the veteran, he holds his head. He thinks he's bowled an absolute Stumer and can he get there? I don't know why he held his head, because it's gone in, and Joe's gone in. He's there, the veteran. 64-year-old Joe Bradbury has beaten Jeff Telford 21-11 to reach the final of the Greenall's Waterloo Handicap 1995.
Thanks, Joe.
So Joe Bradbury, the man who won this tournament back in 1971, is through to the final of the event in 1995. He'll face Ken Strutt, and we'll see that final next. The crowd here at the Waterloo in Blackpool looking forward to the final between Ken Strutt and Joe Bradbury. And all creatures great and small enjoying their day out here. It really has been a marvellous occasion, a capacity crowd. And as you can see, that gentleman is giving his dog a privileged view of the proceedings out there on the green. Well, as I said, it's Ken Strutt, who was a finalist here back in 1982 against 64-year-old Joe Bradbury, who won this tournament back in 1971, 24 years ago. What a final we're in for. Joe is now talking to Brian Brett.
So, Joe Bradbury, at the age of 64, the final, the Waterloo again. And Joe, you're looking as though you're enjoying yourself.
Definitely, yeah. It's nice to be back.
After 24 years.
Yes, it's a long while, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's good.
What is the secret, do you think, this year of the way you've played?
The secret? Well, I'm playing quite a lot. You know, I do a lot of bowling now, and I feel at home here, that I'm playing for these lot, you know, the people that are watching, and they really enjoy it, and I'm enjoying it, so it's a good combination, isn't it?
It is a good combination, and you've led well, and you've not disappointed people. You must be pleased with yourself.
I'm very, very pleased. I can't say how pleased I am, you know, until it's over, and then I'll realise what I've done again, you know. I'm hoping to win.
Well, we are all gunning for it out there. It's going to be great. Ken Strutt is a teammate of yours from the Georgian Dragon. What sort of record with him?
50-50, I should say. I have beaten him and he's beaten me, but I've been playing on fast greens, and that's when I can beat Ken. But today I've altered my style, and it might just catch him out. You know, he might think about it. I'm going a distance. You're going a distance. You're going to go the distance. Yeah, thank you, and all the best to you. Thank you.
Brian, thanks very much indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, John Bancroft was watching that interview with me up here in our studio. John, we just get the feeling, don't we, that Joe really fancies his chances?
Yes, he looks full of confidence. I hope he can carry that on when he step onto the green for the final. He's really up for it. And, I mean, that's half the battle. If you feel confident in your own mind, then you're halfway there.
Yeah, and we said during that semi-final he's on a run, and if he can maintain that, who knows what can happen.
Well, that's it. He's playing well. He's relaxed. He's still quite intense. You can see that with his look on his face, but he's still relaxed enough to get into some banter with the crowd, and obviously he's up for it, yeah.
Right, well, let's just remind ourselves of the two players, Ken Strutt, of course, and Joe Bradbury. Let's look at how Ken Strutt has reached this stage of the tournament. There it is. And, of course, in the quarterfinals, he beat Brian Duncan 21-13. And then Robert Crawshaw, he beat 21-9. And, John, you were saying earlier about Ken, he was in a good sort of tempo. He had a good rhythm going. Would you fancy him to win this overall?
Well, the way he's played in the quarter-final and the semi-final, the two of the best performances we've seen at the Waterloo for a long, long time. He's played immaculate bowls. He's always led really close to the jack with his fist bowl. He's put the other guy under so much pressure, and he's not giving his opponent much of a chance. I mean, if he can carry that sort of form on in the final against Joe, well, Joe's going to really have it all to do.
But as we've seen so far, this has been a day of upsets.
Well,
nothing has really gone according to plan.
Well, I've certainly not been right once yet, so that's half the thing. But yeah, I mean, that's the game of bowls. It always throws up the shocks.
Absolutely. Right, let's take a look at Joe Bradbury's performance on his way to this stage. And there it is in the quarterfinals. He beat Alan Thompson. We remember a very tight finish, and then great semi-final performance, beating Jeff Telford 21-11. And I guess, as we've just said, with Joe Bradbury, it's a question of can he keep that momentum going?
Well, he's played smashing so far. I mean, he held his nerve in the quarter-final against Alan Thompson. Like I said, it was a very close finish. In the semi-final, I mean, he's played some fantastic bowls against Jeff, really. He's dominated the game from start to finish, not allowed Jeff to dictate the play. And as we saw from the interview, he fancies to take Ken a long way. He fancies, he's really up for it. He's no worries about playing Ken. My slight fear about it is that they are teammates. They play at the Georgian Dragon in Hyde and they play together.
Right.
And sometimes with teammates, you tend to find that one can dominate the other because they know the game so well. But we don't seem to have any worries on that score with Joe.
Let's see if you can pick the winner then of the final. It's your last chance.
Well, I'll go for Ken. I'll go for Ken for the fact he's played so well so far today.
Excellent, fine. So it's the final then. It's Ken Strutt and Joe Bradbury, the final of this Waterloo competition here in Blackpool. There we are. That's the pub, the hotel on the corner just behind the green here. That's where we are today, here on the Lancashire coast. Looking forward to a very exciting final. A capacity crowd waiting to enjoy it. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the Waterloo in Blackpool. We are all set for the final of the Greenhalls Waterloo 1995 event. Remember, it's Ken Strutt against Joe Bradbury. We're all set, ready to go. I know that the crowd here are certainly looking forward to it, as we are. Let's now join our MC, Jim Howarth.
Ladies and gentlemen, the final of the 87th Waterloo Handicap. Will you please welcome on the green, wearing the red shirt, Joe Bradbury. And wearing the blue shirt, please welcome on the green, Ken Strutt.
It's a tail.
And the first blow has been struck, in as much as Ken Strutt has won the toss. He can set the first mark. 87th running of the Greenhalls Waterloo Bowling Handicap. Total prize money, £25,140. And one of these two chaps is going to win 3,000. The other one's going to get 1,500. And all the portents of a very, very tight, entertaining game of bowls in front of us. Ken Strutt, who's had a reasonable rest after he destroyed Robert Crawshaw in his semi-final, and Joe Bradbury might be creaking a little bit. It's his third game, of course, today, and he didn't have a lot of rest between his semi-final against Jeff Telford. And Ken Strutt strikes the first big blow. 2 he scores, and his score goes onto the board at 7, because this being a handicap, they start off 5. This, I think we said earlier, dates back to the earliest days when panel players, professional players, were handicapped in this tournament. So many shots, and since Jasper Rothwell won it way back in 1907, the handicapping has retained that handicap system. So they start on 5, but they finish on 21. And I think Joe has found one here. Still plenty of room for Ken Strutt to get in. Thumb peg, which is the equivalent of the flat game bowls backhand delivery. Bowls a yard or so away from the jack, or the block, as it's known in the crown game, can often be a positive winner of a bowl, a winner of an end rather, because of the imperfections in the green itself, which does look so flat, but actually isn't. That's flying through. So Joe has not found his length as yet.
Strutt, 1.
Can Strutt another single.
As with any final, the first couple of ends are always crucial. Who settles down quickest and who sets the stall out and dictates the play. So far, Ken seems to have settled. Joe's played one or two ramblers, as we'd call them. He's not got a length yet, but again, the weather's still very overcast, and possibly the green has gone another yard or so heavier from the semi-final.
John Bancroft alongside me. John, have you much personal experience playing against these players, these Joe Bradbury or Ken Strutt?
Yes, I have a lot of experience of playing both of them, really. They're both from the Georgian Dragon Club in Hyde, which is a rival club of my own club, North, at Hyde. And I do come across them in league play as well as in handicap play. So, yes, I know them both very well. They're both cagey old pros, as you'd say, really. They're hard men to shift. They know the ins and outs of the game. They know all the tactics, all the running shots. It's going to be close to call, but the way Ken's playing, and he's set off like he's left off in the quarter-final and semi, you've just got to keep fancying him.
This is true. They used to call bowls old men's marbles, but there's more and more young players in the game, such as yourself, winning big titles. But it's fascinating to see that we've got two of perhaps the elder statesmen of the game of crown bowls here, with Ken Strutt at 57 and Joe Bradbury at 64, showing the youngsters how the game used to be played and still can be played.
Well, they're showing the way here. Joe's using a little bit of weight here. He's trying to shift the jack.
Strutt, 2.
Joe missed by a mile there. Joe having to change his shirt for after his semi-final, when he won in blue, and here in the final he's back to red, which is the colour that he used when he won his quarter-final. Quarter-final, which was a fascinating game, beating Alan Thompson in a very, very close and tight match, 21-19. Ken already using the sort of land that took out Robert Crawshaw in the semi-final. Oh, what a beautiful delivery. And there's about 3,500 fans crammed into this lovely arena, beautiful Bowls Stadium in the shadow of the Waterloo pub here in Blackpool. The skies are a bit overcast now. There's a flicker of rain in the wind. Joe so very nearly delivered a good one. Ken a chance to exert a little bit more pressure. Curling in now, turning right onto the block. Oh, missed it by a whisker.
He's only that far behind.
John Gertry, the referee, giving Joe Bradbury a little indication of the distance the blue bowl is from the jack. Well, he's certainly not going to be short with that. But he got it. Got it. He knocked it out. He could be in with 2 here.
Bradbury, 1.
No, it's just 1. Hey, what a cracking bowl, John.
That was a super bowl, that. It was a well-played ball and well thought out. He knew that he couldn't afford a full-blooded strike at it, so he's played with maybe about 10 yards of weight, and he's just come onto it, just clipped it, just got enough of the ball, and just on that last wobble has just got it out. Excellent stuff.
Now, Joe scratching his nose there thoughtfully, deciding on what part of the arena he's going to deliver this block. Ah, thought so. If he could win this end, he'll be on course for a mark that he used to some tremendous advantage against Jeff Telford in the semi-final. He's got to win this end first, though. And he won't. I don't think he's going to win it with a bowl like that. Got that all wrong. Down at the green side with a very close, a much closer view than we've got of it is our colleague Roy Armson, and with him Brian Duncan, who was put out of the competition dramatically in the quarterfinal by Ken Strutt. What's the reaction down there at the moment, Roy?
Brian, we've got Joe Bradbury coming down here now. Do you think that this is what he's got to do to try and get back in this game?
I think he's just got to try something different. I know he's like 10-6 down, that's the first time he's had the jack, but I don't know with Joe. Joe just plays marks that you probably won't expect him to play, and unfortunately he's just sent 2 bad balls and he's 2 down again.
But Ken looks as though he's pretty well left off where he finished with you, hasn't he?
Well, Ken, I mean, against myself, like, Ken played very well. I mean, all right, I can say, well, I didn't perform as well as I've done previous, but Ken certainly played well, and again, Robert Crawshaw, he carried on, and I think he's got to play, Joe Bradbury's got to play really well to beat him, really.
I know the bookmakers strongly fancied Ken Strutt. In fact, he was 1-2 on. Joe Bradbury was 7-4. Would you think that would be the way it would go?
I think that's probably the right odds, really. I mean, I would have thought where Ken had played today, laying 2-1 on was a really reasonably good bet, really, because everywhere you've gone, you've watched him, he's played a good length.
Thanks very much, Brian. That's the way it looks down here, Hugh.
Thanks, Roy. Yes, those odds illustrate and underline the situation. If you're not a total betting man, 2-1 on means that you've got to lay down 2 to pick up 1, if you're a winner. Joe Bradbury, 7-4. So lay down 4 to pick up 7, very nearly 2-1. And down below us are the bookmakers who have been taking the bets. And in the standing enclosure of the arena, where there's always chatter, there's always a buzz, there's always money changing hands down there. And that's where you get the most stick as well, John.
It is. Joe needs to beat these balls or else he's in a bit of trouble here. It's 12-6 if he lets Ken count another 2. Oof, and he's left them. It's a big gap this to pull back for Joe, 14-6.
Yes, the situation is looking grim now for Joe Bradbury, the man from Romilly, Stockport. Well, they've settled definitely on 1. It is 2. Wow. Well, there's one happy spectator. That's Debbie Strutt, daughter of Ken, and gosh, doesn't she look happy. We actually saw Ken smile earlier too when he came off after winning his semi-final.
Well, the way he's been playing, I'm not surprised he's smiling too.
It's a sort of giggle from Diggle as far as Ken Strutt's concerned. The man from Diggle near Oldham in the Greater Manchester area. He is fiddling his way around this green all right. We said before, Ken Strutt was the unluckiest loser of the Waterloo title back in '82 when he led Dennis Mercer 15-9 at one stage and then went down 20-21. So you can say that Ken is overdue for a bit of fat here on the Great Waterloo Handicap. Joe Bradbury, a winner of the title, beating Steve Ellis back in '71, hasn't made the final today since. Oh, Joe, where's it all gone? Where's it all gone?
Strutt, 2.
Well, it's really looking black now for Joe Bradbury. 6-16 down. And if you remember, Brian Duncan was absolutely shattered by a run of 10 chalks by Ken Strutt midway through their game. Ken came from 6-9 down to 16-9 up with 4 doubles and a couple of singles. And Brian Duncan never really recovered from that. And here already, there's a 10 chalks difference between them.
I think it's got to the stage of now or never for Joe. He's got to certainly do something to wake himself up from this run of poor form he's in at the moment. He's not getting the bowls away. He's not getting the length. He's got to start beating these. When Ken gives him a yard like this, he's certainly got to step in.
Close. Made a contact, didn't stay tight enough on it, perhaps. But at least he's lying.
It's much better that from Joe, though. It's a big improvement.
Ken's on the road. This is own. Well, in actual fact, that tiny collision with his own bowl did him a favour. It took a bit of running out of his bowl and allowed him to hold the shot here. If he can pick it up, he needs to pick it up. He needs to pick it up. And it's gone out. Oh, what rotten luck. Gosh, that was like a railway goods yard for a moment. The ball shunting backwards and forwards.
That was desperately unlucky. He's got a perfect contact onto Ken's ball. He cleans the whistle, knocked it onto his own back ball, and at the end of the day, he's possibly been lucky not to go 2 down there. Yes. That was Joe really be feeling sorry for himself now. Just what you don't want to happen at 16-6.
Well, the crown on this green is about 11 or 12 inches high, but poor old Joe's got a mountain to climb now. 17-6 is the lead of Ken Strutt. Thumb peg by Ken Strutt, and he's got that one on radar. Oh,
I think he's got homing beacons in these bowls, Hugh.
I think he has. It's I think we ought to have the inspectors in the electronics firm look at them. Close. Oh, unlucky. Poor old Joe. You got to feel sorry for him. He's bowling some good stuff, but up over the crown this bowl comes from Strutt. Turn right now. Just gently tickle in there. How about that? I tell you what, this fella's turning on some style here. Joe, you got it all to do here. You've really got it all to do. Oh, it sails straight through. This is becoming a wake instead of a celebration.
Yeah, it's exhibition stuff though from Ken. I mean, he's not giving Joe a hope really here. He's playing fantastic. And he's not playing an easy mark. That's the amazing thing. It's not as though he's going on a little simple easy mark where you can dollar them up to the jack. He's playing right across the top of the crown, about 40 yards and a swinging mark, and every lead's right up against it.
I would say, though Ken Strutt has been winning tournaments for 14, 15, 16 years at least, the consistency that he has shown here on finals day at the Waterloo this Thursday, gosh, I doubt whether he's ever put 3 games together on the trot as good as this.
Well, I'm certainly counted on this green. I've never seen anyone play this green as well consistently game after game. It's an awesome display. 2048 set out in July
for this finals day. And these are the two blokes who made it. And this chap bowling now, Ken Strutt, is showing that he is, at this moment of time, the best of those 2,048. I do believe Joe is on here. That was the signal we picked up from referee John Geritry. Collision, gets 2. Wait for Ken Strutt to accept it. Yes, it is.
Bradbury, 2.
And that'll get a cheer. So 8.19 off the mat. I suppose there have been more dramatic comebacks in every walk of life over the years, but if Joe makes it back now, well, it could be a miracle. He's got his chance, though. He had the block in his hand. Easy, 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 easy. That's better. That's better. So that was a pressure bowl. And let's see how Ken reacts to it. Looks tidy. Oh.
Give up.
Left-hander, Joe Bradbury, a cat-hander.
Got to be a little bit careful here, Joe, that he doesn't get too brave and just knock that ball of Ken's. That was his worry, and obviously he's just overcompensated. But Ken has actually now got a ball here to win the game if he chooses to play it. He can play the same peg, the original peg finger, play a couple of yards of weight and just try and prop on Joe's back bowl. Leave himself a double.
Well, he's looking at it. He's thinking about it. There's everything in his face, and he's going for it. There's extra running in this bowl. Now, it's gone out.
Bradbury, 1.
Oh. Well, he could afford to take that sort of chance with a 19-8 lead, which has now become a 19-9 lead. So Joe Bradbury did pick up a single there.
Slightly surprising tactics from Joe, actually, because he's playing in the same corners. He's going the other peg. He's going finger peg this time. His finger peg, the left-hander's fingers, Ken's thumb, up into the pub corner. But it's a pretty similar mark to what Ken was playing himself.
Just perhaps a few feet further, I would say, John.
Yes, possibly.
Yeah.
It's not a bad ball, but it's one of the easier places on the green now.
Oh, Ken hasn't got running in that bowl. Well, Joe, a chance to narrow that gap. He's 10 behind at the moment. Holding 1 here. Ease off, ease off, ease off. Stop, stop, stop. Tidy. Holding 2. Ken Strutt definitely does not intend to be short with this one. What's the road like? Gone through.
Bradbury, 2.
Well, there's life for the old dog yet, as they would say.
Well, he's reached his first objective, and that's to get to double figures and make it try and look a little bit respectable for those papers tomorrow. So now he'll be just thinking about where he can pinch possibly one or two more charts, get back to 13 or 14, and then it'll start preying on Ken's mind. But obviously he needs to count another couple more ends on the trot.
Let's just hang on to that block, make sure that Ken doesn't get his chance to exploit the marks that he wants to play. That's the fascinating thing about this game of crown bowls. You can decide where you're going to play the game. And that's well on its way. Not a bad lead. It's put enough pressure on Ken. Ken unable to beat that red ball, which must be what, a yard, possibly less than a yard from the target. Oh, the crowd are waving that one through. Very nearly made a contact. It's the fascination about the audience here at the Waterloo. They're quick to tell the bowler where that ball is going to go.
Oh yeah, no sooner as it's left the bowler's hand, they're waving it too far, short, to back, narrow. And they're never wrong.
Not much in the other two. There's not much in the other two, Ken.
Ken wants to go up to have a look.
That's unusual, this, because with some players they have no problem with coming off the mat and having a look and weighing up the end, but Ken doesn't usually favour that tactic. He likes to stop on the mat at all times and usually rely on the referee's judgment. So I can only assume that what he's hoping that it's only one, and have a good look at them and just check. And if that's so, it is only one. He's probably thinking about having a smack at that bowl of Joe's. Although it is a good 2 feet off, it is right in the way and would be difficult to beat with a length bowl.
Well, the sun is doing its best to break through overhead here in Blackpool. The drizzling rain that we had a little earlier has lifted. Is this a sunny celebration time now? 1911. Ken Strutt leads, but he's one down on this end. And he's trying a dead draw, and he's going to be awfully close. Yes! What a bowl and a half that turned out to be. Oh, what about that, John?
Fantastic bowl, fantastic. And he's obviously come and had a look and decided it was 2, so he's lying 2 down. So that made his mind up. He dared strike. He's got to try and play for one, and he's found one right from the top drawer there. Fantastic.
That was a quality piece of bowling. So he's one short now of the £3,000 first prize, but more particularly for entering his name in the history books as a winner of the Waterloo. 2011. Ken Strutt leads. And when you want one for the title, that's not a bad way to start.
Oh, same old story. As soon as he gets that jack in his hand, Ken, plonk right on the jack, first ball. Joe's right under pressure. It's been the story all the way through the quarter-finals, the semi-finals, and now the final. He's not giving the other fella much of a chance at all today.
It's not arriving. So Joe Bradbury has one more chance to stay alive in this tournament.
He's here again. Fantastic stuff.
Unbelievable. Only wants one and has two.
Either side.
Almost unbeatable. Now Joe steps off the mat, has a good look from a different angle, but everything he sees there is against him.
He probably wants to have a strike, as it would, I would imagine, from his angle on the mat. I bet he can't see anything at all of the jack.
It's going to go straight with weight. Now then, is it going to make a contact? Yes, but it doesn't matter. It's still two. Joe Bradbury's out, and Ken Strutt, after one of the finest displays of bowls that we've seen ever here at the Waterloo over the whole course of the day, has won the Waterloo. A beaten finalist those years ago, but he's made up for it now. His daughter Debbie almost overcome at the way father has performed here. That was beautiful, wasn't it, John? Look at that last bowl through. He got that.
Joe's been unlucky there, really, again. I mean, he's got a contact on the jack, but the end was played really before Joe had sent that last ball. The way the ball's positioned, he'd not much chance of counting at all there, really. I mean, all in all, it's been one of the best displays of bowling I've seen from Ken. Not just that one game, but through the whole day. Fantastic stuff.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to make the presentation to our new champion and indeed the runner-up. And would you first of all welcome the man who's going to make the presentation, the chairman and managing director of Green All's Inns, Mr. Roger Young. So the first thing that Roger will have to do is to present the semi-finalist, or rather the winning semi-finalist, the runners-up check to the man who's done so well here. He, of course, won this tournament way back in the 1970s. He put up a terrific performance. Would you welcome, please, Mr. Joe Bradbury. Well, Joe receives the cheque for £1,500, plus, of course, a lovely cut glass decanter, so it's been a very good week for him, and our congratulations to him. And we'll just pause briefly while everyone gets the shots they want. And now it's time for the presentation to our winner. He's been a marvellous performer. He's certainly performed brilliantly today. We understand he's been in great form all week, and that's obvious by the fact that he's won. He did so well back in the 80s in one of the great televised finals, but now finally he's won it. He gets a cheque for £3,000 plus the winner's trophy. Welcome, please, Ken Strutt. Well, Ken, one of the first things you've got to do as the new champion, I'm afraid, is talk to me. So if I could just have a brief word. Congratulations, well done. It's been a marvellous day for you.
Well, it's been superb, and it's 13 years since I lost in the final, and it's been 13 years well worth waiting for.
We somehow felt, I know it's all right being wise after the event, but we thought that you looked like you meant business today, and we just suspected that this would be your day.
Well, I just kept my head down and tried to just keep going and keep playing well, and that's all you can do.
And what does this mean to you to finally win the Waterloo? Because it is, without doubt, such a prestigious event.
Well, it is the top event, and everybody tries to come here, enter the competition, and they all try to win the Waterloo, and it's superb.
And are you back next year to defend the title?
Oh, without a doubt.
Terrific. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Strutt. So for the moment, we have to say goodbye. It's been a marvellous tournament. We hope that you at home have enjoyed it as well. But in the meantime, from everyone here at Blackpool at the Waterloo, we'll say goodbye for now.